Check it. Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our live Monday night show as usual. We got episode 53 tonight. Episode 53, man. It's going really good. I'm so glad the Dirt Life show has been able to keep going. It's just really, really cool to be able to do this. I'm pretty tired today. I don't know about you, Case.
I'm pretty beat up myself.
Yeah, it was a long weekend, but it was pretty amazing, actually. So, like I said, it's episode 53. We got our featured guest tonight is going to be Hunter Miller, and we got to go watch him at TexPlex over the weekend. Awesome facility in Midlothian, Texas. The best part about it, though, is that he walked away with a $40,000 championship bonus.
It's so awesome.
That's so amazing. Like, especially for the side-by-side industry, like, how can you get any better than having that big of an event? You know what I mean? Well, it was a series, but still, it's just so amazing to be able to have that and to go and view it and watch all the camaraderie and everybody that was out there. I think I mentioned to you before the show they had 250 plus entries there. It was really, really cool. That many people in the side-by-side industry going to one race to be able to watch these guys. And I also think we'll have to ask Hunter. And I think that he was in the Pro Turbo class. And I think the Pro NA class also got a championship bonus of $40,000.
Dang.
It wasn't quite as knockdown drag out as Hunter's championship, but man, it came down to the last moto, the last race of the championship, man.
Wow.
So you couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. Nail biter, huh?
It really was, man. I was sitting there in the stands or on the track and like doing all the media stuff, and I couldn't believe how hard those guys were charging. And I related it kind of to the same as like Redbud, MX National for UTVs, though.
You mean how cool the track was, or the type
well,
of
that
track?
And like how many people were there,
Oh, okay.
like everybody was having fun, the atmosphere, like
awesome.
The way they had the pits set up, it was just really cool because they also had like kind of areas where you could separate, like put your motorhome in the back, but your pits in the front, so you could go like hang out and do stuff, and then you could have your pits in the front where everybody comes and like looks at the cars and stuff. So it was just a really, really cool facility. They had an awesome pit bike track.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
They had a Connex unit, and under the Connex unit, would have been your area to go with the RC cars. That would have been fun.
Nice.
And then we could have both went on the dirt bikes around the desert loop and stuff. That would have been super cool. And of course they had motocross tracks too.
So this thing's got everything, it sounds like.
It really does, but it doesn't have everything just good. It has everything great.
Nice.
Like, it's super cool.
Awesome.
So it was a fun time to be out there. I want to thank everybody that was at TexPlex, Jenny and Jeff and everybody that was out there that helped us out and got us the equipment that we needed to go filming. That was super cool. It was nice meeting everybody too. You know how you have like if you travel to races and people that you didn't even know who you are. Like I'm sure it's happened to you a million times, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I've seen you doing this," or we watched you at the races. It was just super cool to finally put a face to a name,
Yeah, definitely.
And hang out with everybody. I loved it, man. It was such a fun experience.
Awesome. Glad you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you have going on over the weekend?
Oh, some kitchen remodel stuff. Still messing with that.
Not the dirt life.
No, unfortunately.
Remodel life.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, got two bike rides in this weekend, so that was good. A roadie ride and then a mountain bike ride. So.
What, at like 3 a.m?
Yeah, pretty much. And we had just about hero dirt yesterday for about an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
because all that rain.
It rained like decent, but not enough for mushy puddles or anything. It was just enough to be just right. And then an hour later, it was like wishy-washy again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like
Crap.
we started out like, this is going to be so rad. And then here comes the heat. And then we're like, whoa, starting to get a little slippery again.
That's cool, though. At least you guys got out there to be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So tonight's show is going to be awesome. We're going to have Steve Westfall of Rockstar Energy Husqvarna calling in just a little bit.
Sweet, can't wait.
Yeah, he's now the team manager for Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. But the coolest part about like 2020 for those guys is they ended Supercross on a really, really high note, right? Like all three of their guys on the podium with Dean Wilson, Jason Anderson, and Zach Osborne winning.
Yep.
And then they continued that like really, really high level of competition and just awesome riding by the riders and clearly the team that's doing the back end work. into the pro motocross season. Like,
It's pretty impressive.
it really is.
Like, really impressive, actually.
Because those guys came out swinging.
And it's no joke at that level. Like, it's not a controlled environment like Supercross kind of can be.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Especially with, well, I guess 2020 is just weird, right? But especially with the weather variables that you always have in motocross.
Right.
And so we'll talk to him a little bit about all that stuff. I think it's super cool that they came out swinging. They got their guy, Zach Osborne. He's leading the championship now.
Yep.
RJ Hampshire did really good in the 250 class, and Jason Anderson's just been a rocket ship as usual. So
Right.
It'll be neat to talk with him and see what the maybe he can give us a little insight onto the like some of the changes and things like that they've done with the team to maybe escalate or get up to that next level.
Right. I bet he's going to say, we're just keeping it fun.
Keeping it fun, eating cupcakes and donuts and stuff.
Yeah, right. On a positive note for me, both of my guys were awesome this weekend.
Yeah, Adam Cincerillo
Yep.
and Zach Osborne.
Yes, sir.
So what was the podium this weekend? It was Zach Osborne got first.
Yep.
By who knows what luck.
I know. I can't remember how many points it was. It was a bunch.
Well, you got to remember, like at these mud races. So let's backtrack a little bit. So there was a ton of rain the day of the race in Loretta Lynn's at Loretta Lynn's Ranch in Tennessee.
Right.
And so that
Yeah, it was
like,
nasty.
Creates
actually.
havoc.
Like,
yeah.
gross.
Yeah, and it creates havoc. But the craziest part about it is that there's now all of a sudden it just throws like all kinds of other wrenches in the mix, right? Like
Totally.
so you can fall down, your bike breaks, all these different things. Maybe you got to go get goggles in the pits. Like
Yeah,
so whoever watched,
think about that for a sec.
yeah,
Dudes are having to pit.
yeah,
That's insanity.
that's bananas.
Right.
And they talked about it a little bit on the live broadcast. But imagine if you were out there doing it. Like, what would you think? You're like, well, it's already blown out. Like, I'm not going to screw up my eyes. I'm going in. Like,
And such a crapshoot where some of them are like, okay, I blew it all on the first lap. I need new goggles.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's do it again.
exactly. And then, well, you're going to get blown out in like another corner.
Right.
So, did you see the start? Did you watch the starts?
I did.
It was
Which
like
ones? They were insane.
it was like a speedboat would go in front of
It
you. There
was.
was so much water, like they just
It was
got
like-
covered.
Excuse the parallel, but like diarrhea mud.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Bad.
It was so gross. It's so like if you had 20 tear-offs, you're toast in the first turn.
Right.
So,
Totally.
I couldn't even imagine. But yeah, it's just crazy. I thought it was super cool though to see the good riders or the really what do you call them? The wanting riders, the guys that really want to do well, that want to like push forward and have a lot of determination, like rise to the top.
Right.
Because there was other guys that you saw them like in the first turn, they were just like, oh, I'm out. Like,
Right. So go back to, so how about for 250s? Like, it's pretty much Ferranda's show. It seems like, right? I'm not a giant fan or anything,
you
but
mean that he's just faster than everybody?
he's just awesome. Like,
Yeah.
he seems to be the one that is the one to lose it. Let me put it that way. And so how about in the second moto? Didn't he come in for goggles like 10 laps in or something?
Maybe, yeah.
And then just was charging because he had.
But that's when he had
could
clear
see.
track, though, and it wasn't raining as much.
Yeah, that's true. That was a little different story.
So, and I can, just for argument's sake, tell me what you think about this, though, because I can argue that if you put a lot of those other top guys on that fast of a bike, that Yamaha bike, they would probably up their lap times a little, or lower their lap times a little bit and get faster,
Right.
too.
Right, possibly. But in the mud, it's such an equalizer because
Power
like,
is always king in the mud.
For sure it is, but if you don't have that button that lets you go to that next get out of your comfort zone, you don't do it. And then tall guys or guys with knee problems, I always hated a mud race because it doesn't take anything to grab a rut with this big boat of a foot and your knees toast. So now you got that in your mind, and some people just aren't willing to put it out there.
That's a really good point. Well, let's thank our sponsors real quick before we get too far into it. I want to thank people that are already commenting in. So you guys should all comment and join us and hang out. We're going to talk motocross. We're going to talk side-by-side racing, and obviously come hang out when Hunter comes on and ask questions about his racing program and stuff too. So thank you very much to all of you guys for joining us and hanging out. It's like I always say, it's the lifeblood of our show. Like we couldn't do it without you guys. All of the comments and everything that we've been getting on social media, all of the stories and coverage, you call it, that we did over over the weekend at TexPlex. You guys love that stuff, so I think I'm going to try harder to be able to do as much stuff as I can with that, because it's instant gratification as far as content goes. We already had a couple people comment in. Rory says, "Hey fellas, thanks for joining us, Rory. We really appreciate it."
Brian, so what's up with Tomac? I'm with you, bro.
Yeah, so let's have a little discussion about Tomac in a second here, right?
How's it going, Chris Bender?
And so please keep the comments coming in, man. Keep joining us on these live feeds, and also keep joining us on social media. It's really, really cool that you guys are digging all the content that we're putting out. We're really excited about it. So thank you guys very, very much. And let us know if you guys want anything different from us, too. Like, I was thinking that maybe we'll change it up a little bit, and we'll have a little bit more talk about current situations and current racing and the things that are going on in people's lives, maybe even dune trips and stuff like that. Like, I know Camp Razor got canceled, so that sucks.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Gino Face, what's up, buddy?
So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. Thank you very much, Shock Therapy. Got my cool Shock Therapy hat. You can go get one of these bad boys anytime you want. You can go to shocktherapist.com, use the code DIRTLIFE, and save a whole bunch of money. And if you want to get your car all dialed in, I think I'm going to be taking a car over there in the next couple weeks to get the shocks done on it. You can always call them and set up an appointment to get their ride improvement system. You can use the code DIRTLIFE and save a whole bunch of money, man. Just let them know that George or the Dirt Life sent you, or Casey and the Dirt Life sent you, and they'll help you guys out. Thank you very much to Ryan at KMC Wheels. I'm going to post some pictures later this week. They got the Sprinter van all dialed in, so
nice.
It's looking pretty sweet now. So Thank you very much to Ryan at KMC Wheels. He's always helping out the racers, and he really, really has an awesome program going there for the now. Like, it's super, super cool. And all the content that they've been putting out on social media has been really good, too. So thank you very much to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com and save a whole bunch of money. I know that they're really, really selling a lot of radius rods and tie rods and things like that, so go get yourself some of them for your Can-Am or your Polaris. Thank you very much to those guys at Rugged Radios. You can use the code DIRTLIFE to save a whole bunch on Rugged Radio stuff. I think we're going to have to get a communication system pretty soon for our off-roading stuff that we're going to do, so we can talk to each other when we're riding.
That would be pretty cool.
I think it would be pretty cool, and they just came out with some new walkie-talkies that are really, really, really good. So we'll have to talk to those guys. But we can use the code DIRTLIFE and save some money.
Nice.
And thank you very much to Lance and all the guys at Solderweld for just being with us since day one. We really appreciate it. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at solderweld.com and go get one of their off-road repair kits, because those things are bitching. So you can save your race or save your ride anytime. Thank you very much, Lance, and everybody at Solderweld. So Steve's going to call in just a minute here, but let's start talking about Tomac.
So first of all, I'm not a huge fan.
Well, let's backtrack it a little bit.
So I'm only prefacing that for anybody that thinks I'm a giant hater. It's not a hater.
You don't hate Kawasaki's because you like Cincerillo.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I don't like Tomac's attitude either. Yeah. But I'll play argument's sake. He's not one of my favorite riders at all either. But I'll just play argument's sake just so we can have a conversation about it.
Okay.
So first of all, congratulations to him for winning the championship in Supercross. That's a hard deal.
No doubt.
But it was a little bit weird how he acted in quotes, this weekend, right? Like, you would think that, you would think that he would rise to the occasion to be a champion. You always say it, you lose your championship, or you win your championships on your worst days.
Right.
And that could have been a really good day to not lose a championship.
Right. And, okay, so he had a bad first, he ran into Adam on the start, it looked like, and whatever, it doesn't matter whose fault, it's the start, it happens. So he gets up dead last and gets going. He's great at that. Everybody knows it. Well, he blows his bike up because it seems, I don't know, I don't want to throw it out there that, like, it kind of almost seemed like after that happened in the first moto that he was trying to make it happen in the second moto. And that's terrible for me to say, but I have a hard time trying to convince myself otherwise. In other words, let me put it this way. How much better would it have been to just get a 10th or a 15th or hell, a 5th?
For the points in the team, yes, I agree with that. And it sounds like I'm going to have to battle you and Brian and argue at this point, because Brian Clark just commented and said, but half the season at elevation, so you're talking about Supercross. So, yes, both your points are super valid, but if you think about any racer, right? So Tomac, you, me, Brian, anybody that does any form of racing, right? You just want to give it your all.
Right.
You want to go as fast as you can.
Right.
And you want everything to work, right? So
right.
your bike, your gear, everything.
Right.
Your goggles, every single little thing.
Right.
What if he was trying to prove a point and just go as fast as he can go and say, well, the bike might not have been up to my standards?
Right. So I hear it, and point taken. However, let's think of all of our awesome guests that we've had on the show that are desert racers / short course racers, whatever, and they're like, man, I started to have a clunk at mile 300 and I still had 150 to go. And what do?
Pull it back.
They go, I got to get this car across because
Yep.
if I don't, I blow it for all of my sponsors.
Yeah.
Not just the one that had the problem.
Very good point.
So, again,
What's
I think
that thing that they say? I think they actually said it on the TV broadcast. To win the race, first you must finish or something like that.
Right, to finish first, you must first finish.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. And it's easy for us to sit here and me to sit here, especially when I'm not a giant fan, because I've just expected so much more out of him.
Yeah, armchair quarterback is easy, right?
Right, and so I get it. Anybody that's listening, trust me, I'm not like a hater of the guy. It's just frustrating that like he's that good and can't put it together. That's where I get upset. And then I think
that's a personality trait that you have for a lot of people, though, too, because I can tell sometimes you do that to other people, too, though. You want them to do good, not because you're mad at them, but because you see more in them.
Right. You know the potential. Like, this guy could freaking murder everything and everybody always if he just...
When he was pushing it, though, like...
Oh, my gosh.
He was ripping this weekend.
So fast. And the lines he comes up with, I mean, his fitness, everything's there. It's just the brain, the mind, just, I don't know, whatever. And the other thing that bums me out, too, is he finally gets the Supercross. That's what he's chased for so long. And then it almost seems like maybe he's over it.
I don't know.
And let's not
forget. That could be a good assumption, though.
And then let's not forget they're putting their lives on the line, without trying to get too dramatic about it. I mean, there's risk in this sport every single time they go out. So maybe he's like, starting a family and da-da-da-da.
So if we're full armchair quarterbacks right now, Ryan Villapoto did the same thing in his career.
Right.
He just was balls to the wall all the time. And then towards the end, he was just like, I don't care. I'm either just going to like not worry about it or go as fast as I can.
Right. And he kind of even came clean with that at the end. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So there could be some similarities there too. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think no matter what happens, if you lined up on the starting gate there, you already were a winner in my book.
And Brian brings a great point up. Kids change your view on life 100%. There's no doubt. 100% agree.
Yeah, you're talking about pushing the limits and stuff?
Yeah, so maybe how about this? Remember Dungy when he had that stupid little teeny crash, and then all of a sudden he barely put that season back together.
What do you mean? Because he was like...
He had that
over it?
No, I mean, like, all of a sudden I think he went, whoa, everything hit. Like, he was leading the series. It was his year. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden I think the things start popping in mind, like think of Roxon's injury. That could have been something that he never even walked away from. So now I think when you're in that bubble of everything's going well and a championship and the race wins are coming, et cetera, and then all of a sudden there's a chink in the armor. Like, he now realizes, whoa,
yeah,
this is not a given. Life is not a given, and
Absolutely.
Especially what I'm doing. So maybe Tomac's like, I finally got that thing that was evading me, and you know what I mean, for so long. And
when
now
you get
it's
to
like,
a certain point, you're not, I don't need it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to be. Well, I am being that guy, I guess. That's like, hey, maybe he's like, well, this is one way to get through the weekend. I'll just freaking blow my bike up twice. I mean, I get it. That sounds ridiculous, but dude, it's smoking. It's just bring it back to 85% and get a freaking 10th.
Yeah, just hang out.
Easy to say, but
yeah,
here we are.
It would be pretty nice to be able to understand what those guys go through.
Totally.
Well, we can get Steve Westfall's opinion. Steve's on the line. What's up, Steve? How are you, bud?
Good. How's it going, guys?
Steve, what's up, buddy?
Dude, we're doing pretty good out here in Arizona for sure. But man, you had some serious racing these last couple months, dude. Congratulations, first of all, on all of the new success that you guys have been having. It's pretty bitching to watch your guys do so well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a crazy 3 months, that's for sure. I can tell you that. So
yeah, well, I can only imagine the logistical stuff, but I guess just seeing it from the outside, when we see all the good stuff, right? We see the racing and the having fun stuff. So, what's been going on with the team internally, like with getting to the races, you guys setting up, and obviously having success?
yeah, I mean, it's been good. Obviously, a few changes have happened over the past 3 months.
Yeah, congrats, by the way.
And yeah, it's been a little different, but we're all, we still all have the same goal, and that's to win races and try to make the Rockstar Husky and on the box and up there every moto, and just have fun. I mean, that's the main goal at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So Casey already called it that you were going to say that.
It's good. I love it. It's a good motto.
Yeah, we definitely agree with that motto. But for our audience, we'd like to know a little bit more about some of the stuff that's been going on. Like maybe, I don't know want to say changes, but what's been going on in all the riders, with all the riders that have made all these improvements? Because it seems like, that if you talk about levels, everybody's at a level 9, and then all of a sudden they're at a level 10. They're doing so fantastic. It's not just one rider; it's all of them. So it seems like it's a huge team effort on your guys' part.
Yeah, I mean, we all rallied together, honestly, and just tried to have fun. Again, I've said it before, and we all started riding dirt bikes because we love it, and that's just how we try to do it. I mean, we literally will watch either The Office or South Park before racing starts, as crazy as it sounds. But try to keep it as fun as possible. It's a little different without the fans, obviously, being around.
Right.
But as far as I know, everybody is still enjoying it because it's still some racing. But as far as team goes, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I'm just going to pray that it keeps going the way it goes, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it's a timing thing too, right? Because I guess you could say 2020 has been an off year. But
it's been way off, and it couldn't come at a better time to have the success that we've had, honestly.
Right.
It really is cool. But I think that, like, rethinking these things, Casey and I talked about it a couple episodes ago, and operating differently, rethinking the way that you go about your programs, about your life in general, like all of that stuff really makes a big difference in how the progression of your life goes. So maybe this is the new progression, right? Like maybe this is a perfect time for those guys to have this type of fun because it alleviates all of the other stresses that they have going on in their lives.
Yeah, it could be. I know it's, it is stressful. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's like, I'll use last weekend as an example. Like we were supposed to be in Washougal, and, we end up back at Loretta's because you don't know. I mean, every day it changes. And it's unfortunate with the way the world is right now.
How is that on the team not having to travel? Is it pretty good?
I mean, we flew back and forth, between.
So the only thing that stays is just the truck?
Yeah, we left the truck, but I had been there for 3 weeks because I had to go the week prior for the amateur races as well.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
So, so, I mean, I pretty much might as well become a resident at this point.
Well, now you finally got out of Tennessee, or are you still there?
No, I'm back home right now, actually.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
So I had one question for you, and then we can talk about the pro guys. But so Styles Robertson, the new guy, he's been doing pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Just talked to him probably an hour ago, actually. And he, have to, do my daily with him and just make sure that, it's like, it's just trying to get through, and for him to understand it's not like the amateurs anymore. And this is a learning experience for you to be able to, just learn from it. I don't care how you finish.
Yeah.
I just want you to get the experience and how you do. And the finishes will come as long as you just stay calm. And last weekend in the second moto, granted the conditions were gnarly, he didn't crash, kept it on 2 wheels, and the bike you know what I mean? The main goal was try to make sure that the bike's finished because the track was so gnarly.
Right.
And he was able to do that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And, yeah.
I saw his name on the television ticker up in the top 10, and I was like, sweet, dude, Steve must be stoked right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I was pumped. So it was good for him.
So
and
Steve,
then obviously he's happy.
We had a question come in from Brian Clark that I think is actually a pretty good one. Do riders have more or less PR responsibilities because of COVID?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, kind of a loaded one, but interested to hear what your take is on
They
that.
have, I would say it's the same,
Okay.
but it's different.
Got it.
So instead of them actually going to a press conference, they do Zoom calls or they call in on the phone. Like RJ had to do one probably a couple hours ago.
Gotcha.
They call in now instead of like the media coming to them. Or like, you know, like the TV broadcast where they state, you know, the 10 feet rule.
Right.
But it's the same. It's just a different way of doing it, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it totally is. We went to a big side-by-side. Actually, you'd get a kick out of this. Do you like side-by-side riding and stuff? We went to a big side-by-side championship ending race just over the weekend in Texas. It was kind of like by Lake Whitney. It's a Scott Champion and his dad actually run the track. It's called TexPlex. And they had a side-by-side championship race there, and a lot of people were practicing those same things, like trying to stay away from each other and different stuff like that. But, dude, the track over there is bitchin'. Like, it is insane cool. It's like I told Casey, it's like Redbud for side-by-sides.
Really?
Dude, it's badass.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, it's super cool. And I don't know if you've ever been to that facility, but they got a huge, like, desert loop. They got a motocross track. But, like, they got all kinds of cool stuff out there. So
I used to go to the motocross track back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably 20 years ago. Whenever the last, 7, 8 maybe was the last time. Shit, it might have been 10. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Whenever they had it back then. Yeah, and then they stopped going there. So
I think
the motocross track was cool.
Somebody probably picked it up and dumped a bunch of money into it now because it's really, really awesome now. It's super cool. But,
Really?
yeah, so you'll get a kick out of this. The championship bonus was $40,000 for the side-by-side guys.
That's it?
40 grand? I know, right? That's like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, side-by-side racing is about to get bigger than motocross, man. Holy cow.
And that was multiple classes.
I mean, it could.
Right? Like,
yeah, so it's like kind of like 250 and 450, right? It's the Pro NA class and then the Pro Turbo class.
Right.
And both of them, each championship bonus was $40,000. I think second place was like $8,000 or something maybe, and then third place was still like $3,000.
that's pretty good.
But is that that's just through the promoter?
Yeah,
Or is
it's through the promoter. Yeah, they're throwing a bunch of money in because they want to get promotion and stuff. But I mean, dude, I mean, like once you do it, you got to keep it up, right? So now they got to find sponsors and do it more. But what they were trying to do was do double for next year. So, like, could you imagine that?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody's
How many
going to sell
rounds
it.
do they do?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think there was 7 maybe if I remember, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Shit, that's pretty good money.
Yeah, it is.
For 7 rounds.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, you know how much it takes to maintain 4 wheels instead of 2 wheels, but still, I mean, that's the most. I was telling Casey the most I ever won at a Lucas race was $500. So,
and then you probably spent that in entry fees and gas.
Well, yeah, 100%. So it was really, really cool to be able to see that the side-by-side industry was growing so much. Well, okay, so let's take a step back real quick and talk about some of the stuff that you guys had to do this weekend. So when you go into a race like Loretta Lynn's 2, you're like, well, happy-go-lucky, nice day out, we're going to have fun, and all of a sudden the rain hits, you're like, oh, shit. So it's scramble time for the team?
We knew going in that we were going to have to obviously prep for the mud just by the forecast. So, we were lucky and unlucky. Lucky that we had extra time to be able to do that in the morning. And then obviously with Zach having the issue, which I'm assuming everybody knows about.
Yeah, they didn't play it on TV 5,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously that was stressful. And then a lot of people are upset that he rode the B practice, but it's like people have to also understand and forget, like, because it's Zach or a factory team, is they cut it to one practice no LCQ, right? So like if that was the first practice, you know, it would have been a totally different scenario. We would have brought the bike back, got it fixed, and he would have went to the second one, right?
Right.
And it wouldn't have mattered whether it was anybody else, you know, if they had a problem. They would have been able to do the same thing. And, you know, I know that the rules are rules, or they say there's rules, but, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if, you know.
Well, if the shoe was on the other foot for any of the teams, Honda, Cows, anybody, it wouldn't have made a difference. They would have all wanted that same thing.
And I would bet, Steve, all the backlash is coming from the keyboard cowboys, right? Or was it some internal?
Yeah.
Was it internal
No,
to the
I
team?
guarantee
there were some people that were pissed.
There were some people that were not. Yeah, they were pissed. There were some people that were pissed, and I don't know who. Don't really care.
Yeah,
that's matter. On them at the end of the day. Like I would never say anything. Only for, I mean, again, we all will, you know, race dirt bikes because we enjoy it, and then to throw a fit over something that happened, which was a freak thing that we've never had that happen ever.
Right.
And for that to fail, you know, was obviously that was the last thing we thought of.
Right.
To be quite honest with you.
Is that where you think the mentality or the fun in quotes comes into play? It's like, oh, what, you know what? Let's just forget about this little speed bump we had. Let's go back to having fun. Let's get out there and tear it up.
Yeah, totally.
It was kind of, but I mean, I was embarrassed, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
On my end, I felt because it was like it took us a long time to try to figure it out. And I mean, I'll take full responsibility on it. That's my job at the end of the day. And I was embarrassed that it took that long to figure it out. You know, like I don't know. I take it differently than other people, and I was embarrassed. But you know, my guys were, you know, we all rallied around it to make sure that we got it and figured it out. You know, I mean, shit, I had all my guys were down there.
You know what? Just thinking about it right now, I think some of even our best professional races were in situations like that, where you're in a crunch and then all of a sudden everybody starts rallying together, and then it's like, oh, team dream, like we got up on the top of the podium.
I know. Think of that. All of the adversity, right? Some things happen, this happened, that happened, people are pissed off, blah, 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 and then you walk away with the freaking win. Like, it couldn't be any more perfect, right? I mean, obviously not perfect, but you know what I mean.
I literally could have cried when he won.
Oh,
that's
totally.
How, like, I mean, for how the day started and how it ended. I mean,
even
that's
before that, though,
right.
when RJ comes over and gives like the next boost of confidence for the whole team, right? Like winning the 250 moto.
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Dude, that was super.
Exactly.
How fucked up were his eyes after the moto, though, dude? Man.
He said that before the race, he's like, I'm not coming in for goggles. I'm like, dude, just come in. Like,
Don't say that.
They're down there. Like, it's no big deal. He goes, I'm not coming in. If I throw them, I'm not coming in, especially if I'm leading. And
dude, that's hardcore.
Right.
And what did he go, like 15 minutes or more without him?
God dang, dude.
That was insanity.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because of the goggle. It had nothing. Like, I mean, it was just the water was splashed.
Yeah.
He ran out of tear-offs, and he's like, forget it. By the time that he was afraid he was going to lose by coming in,
right,
he didn't want to take that chance.
Sure.
So,
well, and you know, here we are. We can't argue now. He was right in that situation.
Oh, well, I guess, but he had a good lead.
Hindsight's always 20/20, but like he was headstrong enough to say, "I'm not doing it. I'm going to win my way," and he did. Even though there was a few times like, "Oh crap!"
I don't like for us sitting here like armchair quarterbacking it, like going out on the side by side and just going down the street, no mud, no rain. I'm like, dude, please give me some goggles.
Give me some goggles. I know, totally.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because even when I drive mine, I'm the same way. Either I got sunglasses on or goggles because I can't see. I mean, all it takes is one bug in the eye. Can you imagine getting plastered with mud for 35 minutes?
Holy crap.
His face was so muddy after the race.
Yeah,
that was super cool, though. Like, I didn't get to watch the races until super late last night, but I was already excited, Kirk, because my weekend was so awesome. But when I started seeing him, like, it took me to a whole new level because, like, I know what he's been through with the injury, right? Like, and you've been through some of those same surgeries, Casey. But, like, when you see him trying that hard, like, okay, he got rid of his goggles and we wouldn't have.
Right.
But that was like another thing. Oh, my God, like, go, go, go.
That's what made that race so awesome because it kept getting oh, here he comes. Here's Mr. Fast Guy with new goggles, and here he comes. And you're like, oh no. Yep. You couldn't have scripted it any better for the drama. You know, it was awesome.
For the viewing public.
Yeah, totally. As a fan, it was great.
Yeah, it really was. How did Styles do that moto?
He was 12, the first moto.
Really? So he was pretty consistent in the mud. That's impressive.
That's with about after 5 crashes, I stopped counting.
Dang.
He just kept crashing, and then I was like, holy crap. I'm like, can somebody please tell him to please keep it on 2 wheels? We've talked about this. You know, but I mean, still he got 12th, and I mean, I can't be more proud of him, you know, for just, you know, stepping in and doing what he's doing and being able to be where he is right now, you know, second round. And we will see this weekend. There's a slight chance of rain. I'm praying that it doesn't.
Great.
Yeah, it's Ironman this weekend.
I mean,
the good news is you guys have the mud set up though.
True.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not something I want to be happy about.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple DNFs for sure. But not, I mean, dude, I've never seen anything like it that thick ever.
Yeah,
ever.
That looked terrible.
And that place, like, and it rained, and then the sun came out, and then it started to just turn like it was like cake. Yeah. It was literally like taking cake and slapping it on your bike. It was insane.
So it was the wrong chocolate cake when we're talking about tracks. It was more totally wrong. It was brownie batter.
Yeah,
brownie batter.
Dude, I mean, you couldn't even see the bike.
What was the procedure that you guys had to go through in the pits to get those things? Because you guys had those things spotless by the second moto.
It was, and that's even changing motors.
Holy shit!
Like we changed everybody's motors in between motos.
Oh, was that like a standard thing? You just put a new one in before the second one,
just in case.
That was me because I didn't want to have a DNF.
Smart.
That's actually a really good decision. Were all the guys prepared for that?
Yeah, because I was back at the truck, so me and another mechanic, we had pulled them out and had them ready. So, but it's still, we only, you know, you think about it, they got back to the truck at 1:45, 1:50-ish, and then they're calling us back down at 2:41. So we had 50 minutes to wash and change a motor and make sure it was ready.
And make sure it runs, yeah.
And that's in one bike.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that's five motorcycles. We have 50 minutes roughly.
Dude, that's impressive, man.
That's way badass.
So now at least the guys know how to go through that fire drill.
No kidding.
We've done them before. It's not the first rodeo, unfortunately.
Right.
Usually it's only one here or there, just to be safe or temperature.
Yeah, but this is the first COVID rodeo, though, right?
Yeah,
like you had to do it with all that bullshit too.
COVID rodeo.
Yeah, and then still have your mask on and everything else, and But, I mean, the track was gnarly, that's for sure, and I hope I never ever see another one like that again.
I bet you all the boys that won't say the same thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's let Casey talk about his buddy Zacho, man.
Oh, dude, so pumped. Probably not as pumped as you are because you're so close, but dude, again, could it be going? It's like just like this blossoming flower, right? Like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just coming to his own, like when it counts. You know what I mean? Like I can't even say it any different.
Yeah, and since I'm not like super fan like you, like. He's not a spring chicken anymore either.
I know, right?
So it's super cool. No.
It's funny. They were like, oh, yeah, this never happens at this age. And I'm like, oh, I guess you guys forgot about John Dowd, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but this is a whole different.
That guy was a legend, too.
He was,
This is still a different generation, though, man.
Like, I 100% agree. This is different. Like, he was on another level because he was so good at those tracks. That's how he made his way all of a sudden, John Dowd. I mean, a million years ago, but
But that was getting separated by seconds. This is like tenths now.
And that's what I'm saying. So now we have, like, it's never been as good. It's easy to say that, right? It's never been this good. Well, it really has never been this insane and this close and this good. And think of all the technology everybody's using. We're trying to get the 100th of a second.
Okay, so Justin Barcia wins by a minute in the first moto.
Right.
In the second moto, it was the last turn.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, no kidding.
That's insane, dude.
So awesome. I'm super pumped for all you guys, the whole team, obviously, but man, so cool for Zach.
What do the guys do to get themselves like prepared for that? Are they just like only thinking about the whole shot the whole time? Because fuck, man, it was so gnarly.
I knew they had to get a start.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Jason in the first moto, he like if you weren't like 1 through 5, and then you went and in the water on the start just sprayed you.
Yeah.
And then Jason slid out in the first turn because I believe he clipped somebody. I can't remember exactly. And then he went down.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he laid there for like 5 seconds. And because he was afraid somebody else was coming, he didn't want to get ran over. So by the time he got up and going, and I mean, shit. And then RJ,
sucked.
same thing in the second moto. He went down right off the start, like 30 or 50 feet out. And, it's the only thing if you look back on it is, the start probably could have been cleaned off a little better with the water because you couldn't see, and it made it a little more dangerous, especially at Loretta's because they're fourth when they come to that turn and they're banging a hard right.
Yeah,
and your foot's not on the rear brake.
When it choked in a little bit, like when everybody funneled in, it was like getting hit by a speedboat in murky water. Like it was not. You couldn't see 35 of the guys.
Yeah, and to your point, Steve, that right-hand turn, you already have less control of the bike, and we're in terrible conditions.
Yep.
So all it takes is one little. That's why it was such a melee. I'm surprised more people didn't get hurt, actually.
What did Josh from TacMed say? Hey, Josh, I got my TacMed shirt on today, too.
Yeah, so Josh says it's never a bad day in the pits when Dave Feeney is working on the bike saying, "We got this, boys," in Australian accent.
Nice. That sounds about right.
That's awesome.
So,
it was good.
When we're talking about the mentality of the riders and stuff, what's the I always like to understand what they're thinking after the first moto. Obviously everybody's on a high because RJ comes back and he did well. But the guys have to go up and do their 450 moto too. And then they get done with the first moto, they do decent and stuff. Like, what's the preparation for the second moto for the riders? We know you guys are busting ass doing the motors and stuff. Are they just getting cleaned up, getting ready to go, pumping themselves up to get back out there and do battle in that nastiness?
Yeah, pretty much just pressure wash themselves out, eat, relax, and try to get as much fluid as you can back in because it's grueling doing that for, 36 minutes, I think we were on the track, maybe. I forget exactly at the time.
They were saying something on the broadcast about, like, and I agreed with this statement, but it was something about, like, you move muscles that you don't normally move, and, like, you have to wrestle things more.
Yeah, totally.
Did any of the riders complain about just being, like, super tired or anything weird?
And when they were done, after the second moto, they were spent. I mean, they were obviously tired after the first moto, but, like, the second moto, they were, dude, your bike probably weighed 100 pounds more than it normally does.
Yeah, and you're going in quicksand the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that stuff, I've never witnessed anything like that ever. It's crazy.
That is pretty crazy, and you've witnessed a lot of stuff, too.
Yeah, I mean, not that thick. I mean, I've witnessed some rain and some whatever, but like that, and then it stuck, and it wouldn't come off.
So you might not want to answer this specific question. You can skirt it a little bit. But so we were having a discussion before you came on about riders not wanting to finish the race. And Casey doesn't like.
No.
Casey might not like a certain green guy as much as he likes Adam Cincerillo, but
on another green bike. Yeah.
But he was saying that you could back it down a little bit and save your motor if you really wanted to. But if you don't want to finish the race, you can go fully wide open.
That's what you can do. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that. The key for that one, honestly, was saving the bike. I mean, Zach did a great job at doing it
for sure.
And so did Styles and Dean in the second moto. I mean, and Dean is hard on clutches. So, we had to keep, writing on a pit board, no clutch, no clutch, no clutch.
Nice.
Once you stop using the clutch,
right.
And then it stops, trying to push the oil out of the vent hose. It was all about survival at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I was going to put it like this, George. So think about whether I'm onto something or not, and it's just a pipe dream or I'm being a jerk or whatever. But think about this. Steve said let's put 5 motors in these bikes just in case.
Right.
That's how important it is to make sure that makes it, right?
Yeah, so don't be a dick and fry your bike.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. And I'm sure they did the similar things, like, right? Well, who knows? I can't be sure. But the point is, he's saying that is possibly a problem. So we're going to take that out of the equation.
Well, it's clearly one of the most important things of the whole weekend.
Absolutely. So he went over and above to make sure. Yep.
Those motors were hot.
I'll bet.
Like cooking.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll bet.
And it's crazy to, like, if you think about it, I mean, the temperatures were through the roof.
Yeah, and it's funny that you guys bring up this whole motor thing, right? Because we were actually talking about motors for whatever reason at the side-by-side races all weekend, and so some of these guys would be like, hey, we just built these new cars, we got turbos on them, and, you know, we run them up to 240 and then we'll back it down or whatever. I'm like, dude, if we ran a motor up to 240 in our Yamahas, we throw it away, or we get rid of it, because that motor's toast now. Like, so like Steve's saying, there's a certain level that you don't get to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if it gets to a certain point, it's coming out for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
So,
and then when it hits that threshold, it's mandatory.
Let me ask you this question then, since you were in, like, you have obviously a bunch of different riders that have different riding styles. Casey and I were never really hard on the clutches, but we raced a bunch of guys that were super hard on the clutches. Take us through the process. Like, if it's a guy that's super hard on the clutch and not super hard on the clutch, what does it do to the engine?
Temperature gets super hot. It'll get so hot. Like Dean and Zach. RJ is okay on it. He's not too bad. Styles and Jason are easy. Jalik's easy. Michael's easy on the clutches. But the guys that are hard on it, like, you got to constantly remind them, like, don't use the clutch. Doesn't matter. You, like, shift it, you know, whatever you got to do, but do not use it. Because if that thing, when it gets hot, and then you start losing power, and then it goes south fast.
Right. Right.
In a super hurry.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
And it puts so much pressure through the crankcase and everything, right? Yeah. That's
everywhere.
That's really cool to understand the inner workings of what went on, and I'm sure you guys weren't the only team that was going through some of those same processes and stuff. But
think of the extra inch of insulation that it has on it too. From all the mud.
Yeah, being packed in.
Yeah, so not only is it heavier,
that's
just harder on it, you know, it's just like this snowball effect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So to Casey's point, I will agree with that. The rider is the last piece of the equation.
I mean, it's on everybody's mind. I'm not painting a good enough picture, I guess. It's on everybody's mind so much that the mechanic says we're putting new engines in. Like, how is it not in your brain to just back it down 10% and get 10th?
So, Steve, since Casey's being such a hater, should I go get some T-shirts made that say "Don't be a dick to your clutch"?
I mean, some guys use them, some don't, and the ones that use them in conditions like it was on Saturday, it's not good because it gets so hot.
Yep.
Well,
there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's how they ride.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
And
they just got to do it. And these are the top riders in the world that we're talking about right here.
No doubt. And I'm just some, never was trail rider.
Both of us are off-road.
So I get it, but it's annoying.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, man. You guys did a fantastic job this weekend. All of your riders, like, it was phenomenal to see those guys really step up to the plate, man. Like, I couldn't tell you, sitting on the couch, there couldn't have been anybody that was watching those races that wasn't excited. Even if you didn't like a white bike, you loved them that day for sure.
Yeah, totally. No doubt.
I hope so. I hope they all love the white bike, but some people are haters.
It was awesome to see, man. Like, no matter who it was, like, I'm a huge fan of that type of racing, man. They did fantastic, and you guys as a team did fantastic too. So, kudos, man.
I appreciate it.
Before we let you go, you know who else kicked ass and did fantastic this weekend? His two boys and his wife out there supporting him. Ezra, didn't they both kick some butt? I know one had a little more success.
Weekend?
So they were smoking.
Yeah, Ezra,
BMX.
Parker.
BMX stuff.
He made. Yeah, so Parker made semis on Friday and then missed the main by, like, I guess because they have to do a photo finish. They put, like, a piece of paper pretty much in between
Oh no!
Like the kid just barely beat him, so he had a full meltdown.
Darn it!
And then he aged up on Saturday and Sunday, because once you turn your age, you have to move up, and so he struggled. The hard part, and I have a hard time with this, is the kid wants it so bad and he tries so hard, and it's like sooner or later it's going to start clicking again, because it was clicking there for a while, and it's like he's hit a little thing, and I don't know if it's because he wants it so bad and he tries so hard, where Ezra, when he wants to try, can win when he wants, and then when he doesn't really give two shits, he's just cruising around. So
looking at butterflies.
I don't know, but Ezra did good. I mean, Ezra, he won 3 classes and got 2 seconds and a third.
That's super cool.
Yeah, definitely great weekend for you guys.
Yep. And then my wife's a trooper, just driving all over.
Yep. Yeah. Give her a high five. Give the boys a high five for us too. That's awesome. Tell them congrats.
I will. They're on their way to Washington right now. So.
Oh, sweet.
Dude, she's full family team manager.
Yeah, she is.
They're going to see her sister.
So okay.
No, I mean this weekend. This past weekend, she was the full family team manager
she was,
at the races.
Yep. No, for sure. So, and I appreciate everything she does, no matter, even though I probably don't say it, but she definitely, takes them and does whatever they need to do, and to hopefully, be successful at whatever they want to do at the end of the day.
That's
awesome.
super cool,
awesome
man.
Support mechanism.
I'm glad you brought that up, Casey, because that's exactly the reason that we started this show, is to understand how people live their dirt lives, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, thanks so much, Steve. We got to let you go, man, but I really appreciate it, dude.
Yep, no problem.
Keep kicking ass. We'll watch this. What's this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend's Ironman. So.
All right. Kick some ass, bud.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you.
Yep,
have a
take
good
care.
one.
See ya.
Super cool, man. I got a smile on my face ear to ear now just hearing all that motocross stuff.
It's pretty cool that we kind of get to, live it with them a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, not just us, but our listeners are kind of.
But yeah.
Yeah, we got to go do that through Supercross with them, and awesome success at the end. And I don't know, I feel like at a level we're somewhat involved. I know that means nothing, but
just a little inside stuff. It really does. It means
really
a lot to me too. I love hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that too. It's getting late over there in Texas. We're 2 hours ahead. They're 2 hours ahead. So Hunter Miller's at 9 o'clock already over there. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna have Hunter Miller on. We'll be right back. Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period. Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I'm trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch, you can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up
patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel. And then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
All right, we are back with our featured guest tonight. He has just put a little bit more money in his pocketbook. He's a championship quad racer, a championship side-by-side racer. He's even won King of the Hammers. Hunter Miller joins us. What's up, Hunter? How are you, bud?
What's up, guys? Doing good. How about yourself?
We're doing really good, man, and we appreciate you staying up a little late on your Monday night for us. It's pretty late there in Texas, but we really appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah, no worries. I don't go to bed till late anyway, so it's all good.
Well, Casey was just saying that you're probably just still cashing or counting your chips.
Counting his chips. No, the check's in the mail, right? Check's in the mail.
Yeah, no, I deposited that sucker today, bright and early.
Nice.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Awesome.
So it's really cool to see. First of all, I wanted to thank you for, we text message back and forth for the last couple months, and you were telling me how awesome this racing series is out in Texas, and it happened to be at this place called TexPlex. And everybody's got their best racing series in their state, right? Like, we do it the best. So I was a little skeptical at first, but then you kept telling me, hey, come hang out. And I finally went out, and dude, you were not lying. That track, the facilities, the racing, everything was like a next level for UTV stuff.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? And the craziest part is they just got started, I think it was 8 rounds, and this is the first season for them to do a a full series. And, I wish you could have seen where it even started. I mean, even when they started, it was pretty badass, but by the end, I mean, it was, like you said, on another level. So they really grew a lot and learned a lot, and there's a lot of changes coming for next year. They announced they're having a bigger purse. I think they said $200,000 for next year.
Ooh,
and
yikes.
Yeah, it's a chunk.
For sure.
And, I mean, where else can you race for that kind of money? I mean, in any discipline, really. I mean, yeah, and some, maybe upper level road racing and stuff, but in off-road, that's pretty tough to come by.
Yeah, well, not to mention, I actually had a few people that commented in and sent us messages after I posted it on social media, and they were like, well, first of all, you can't win that much in a Pro 4 championship even. Some of the guys, I think in the Lucas series, like if you win the shootout, you can get a big old bonus check or something, but it's not the same. And then even in Casey and I were talking about it in motocross, 90% of the guys on the track can't get anywhere close to that.
Yeah, no, that's it. And, motocross has been around since the 70s, and UTVs really started around, I guess 08 was when they first started. Right. But, I'd say they started getting serious around, 2012, 2013, and somewhere in there. And, man, look where they are today. It's just going straight up.
Does it make you feel pretty cool to be on the forefront of that stuff?
Oh, it's a good time to be in it, that's for sure. Of course,
yeah.
I may look back from 20 years from now and say I wish I was just getting started. But, no, it is cool. I mean, maybe one day, it'll be like when you look back at the early guys in motocross, and maybe you'll be one of those guys. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's super cool.
Could all crash and burn, and everybody will forget about it in another 10 years too. So.
I doubt that's going to happen. Well, the two things that I think, first of all, is for 2020, for something like this to happen, it's phenomenal. I was just jumping out of my seat the whole time I was there. It was so fun. And then the second thing I was thinking was that to be able to be like Hunter and his brother and all of these guys that are on the forefront of it, it's got to feel pretty good, right? Because you're almost forging your own a path for all these other guys, right?
Right.
He's leading the way in developing these things, and he's also seen the other end of the spectrum too, where he's seen series go away and not be able to race them. So for him to have this type of facility and this type of excitement around him is pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, it is, especially like you said.
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. And you mentioned 2020 earlier, and obviously we all know what's going on this year and how crazy it's been for everybody and racing in general. I mean, look at every series that's had to evolve, Formula One with no spectators there.
Yeah,
right.
It's crazy. So, the fact when that all started, we didn't know if we were even going to be racing the rest of the year and what was going to happen. And TexPlex never really missed a beat. I mean, luckily they were on a bit of a hiatus or a summer break whenever things started really getting out of control. And right when Texas announced that you could start doing things again was right when they were coming back to racing. And, we haven't missed a beat. People were so excited to actually be able to race that the turnouts just kept growing and growing and growing. And I think this past weekend we had 210 cars there, which
they said in the office it was 250 plus drivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was in the front office, that's what they were saying. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, and when I got that number, that was late Friday, so I guess some more came in on Saturday morning and stuff. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I think we started the year with maybe 150.
Well, yeah, dude, that's almost double then, right? So, let me ask you this then. So, if you started at 150 and it got that to be that big, first of all, I think I don't know what you want to call it, the UTV World Championship is probably the only other race that has that many drivers, because I think they got maybe 300 or something. It's a lot, right? But to have that ability, do you think that a lot of it has to do with, well, no, it doesn't have to do with the purse, because there's only 10 or 15 drivers in each one of your classes. Is that the biggest purse in side-by-side racing history?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I can't think of anything else that compares to it. That's for sure.
What about those series that the Greaves guys do? It's like a side-by-side championship or something like that, or?
Yeah, I know they have a good one too, and I'd be lying if I told you exactly what it was.
Yeah, and I don't know either.
I'm not sure. I mean, the Greeks put on an awesome event and stuff. It's just, pretty far for us, so we never really got the chance to make it up there and run the series, unfortunately. They had a race last year at TexPlex, but it was a conflicting weekend for us for something we were already having to go do, so we didn't get to make it to that one even. But, I know they have a pretty decent purse as well, but I don't think it's quite up to the level that TexPlex is at. And, it's not like people are just showing up for the money either. I mean, of course, like that big, massive purse got everybody's attention right off the bat. But, I really figured that the turnout was going to really fizzle out towards the end of the year when, there was only a couple of people that could really have a shot at the money. But that wasn't the case. The turnouts kept growing every single race. And I think it just goes to show how fun the event is and what people think of the track, because they kept showing up, even people that didn't stand a chance to win anything on the series finale, still coming out. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I got two things to say about that. The first thing is like when I came into the facility, I was like, dude, why did I fly? Why didn't I drive and bring a motorcycle and a pit bike? Like,
nice.
Because the facility was so cool. And then I totally forgot about the money. I'm like, I would just send the side-by-side over all these jumps and just be with a smile on my face the whole time. Yeah. And then,
that's good.
And then the second thing I have to say about that is Dustin Jones, who helps build these guys' cars, did do that. He went out there in a completely bone stock Can-Am X3 with a cooler in the back and a stereo system in it, put two of his friends or one of his buddies in there and went out and sent it on all the jumps.
Why are we not surprised?
Typical Dustin.
Did he find the mud? Did he find the mud?
Yeah, it's funny when we were doing the 2021 X3 demo thing out there the other day before they released it. We got to go mob those things around, and we got in the 4-seaters, and it's like, dude, it would be so fun to put 4 people in this thing and then just give thrill rides in it, because the cars work so good and the track is set up so good for UTVs. Like, you could give them a hell of a ride.
So you remember when you're like a little kid and you're like telling like the bigger guys, like your parents or somebody, to ride with you, and you like want to scare them? That's what he's doing the same thing.
I'm just picturing the what do you call the ride at the fair with the freaking help me out here, I'm losing my brain.
Oh, the teacups thing?
No, so you're gonna pull in right on the track. That's the roller coaster ride. There you go. Like there's 20 of these, and that's the roller coaster ride. Just 3 new people hop in and you go, and then the next one. How cool would that be?
Yeah,
dude, it could be almost exactly like that though too, because they have huge bowl turns, like massive bowl turns.
So cool.
And like just cool jumps, a bunch of different elevation changes and stuff on the track.
Awesome.
It really is like I was telling Casey earlier, Hunter, that I thought it was like a red bud for UTVs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking before, and I was trying to explain to you what it's like, and they call it short course, but it's not anything like short course.
No, not at all.
And it's not like it's like a giant UTV or a giant motocross track for UTVs. I mean, take a red bud and make it 3 times wider and just mellow all the jumps out so that they're set up for UTVs, and that's what it's like.
So to make a visual for our listeners, like how wide are we talking? Is this like 50 feet wide, 100 feet wide?
Probably like 30 or 40 maybe.
That's
pretty
big.
Wide. There's enough to fit 3 guys.
Oh, nice.
But you'd have to be pretty
easily.
Yeah, you'd have to be, and some of the corners are even bigger, like 60, 70 feet wide, depending on how big the berms are and stuff. They have split lanes and different things. So,
yeah, and not saying the race line's always that wide, that's for sure.
Right. But,
yeah. So, once the track breaks in, you get to play around it, but it's like a road course. Watching those on TV, like course may be 70 feet wide, but there's a fast race line through it, and, just like anything develops. But
definitely.
How is it driving around that track? Because I just did the media thing, obviously, so I only went on the water truck lane or whatever. But it looks like a lot of those jumps, you really have to know where you are because they're really long takeoffs on some of those massive jumps. So does it feel like a lot of those jumps are the same, or can you know where you're at easy?
No, you definitely have to pay attention because that track is super technical. Like, I keep saying that's one of the awesome things about TexPlex and why I think the series is growing so much is because it's so friendly to beginners. You know, I can't count how many people you see on the side of the track watching, and they're talking about how much fun it is, and then they go by the next 3 and they're at the next race racing the beginner class, you know. But just about anybody that has the basic concepts of driving a car can go out there and have fun and go around the track safely and you know, not hurt their machine or anything else, and gain confidence and skills and get a little faster. But at the same time, like, to go really fast out there, you know, because of the track surface and how technical all the lines are to go around it. I mean, the fast guys can go really fast, you know, and we're getting to the point where you're trying to split off tenths of seconds to gain time between, you know, some of the top 5 guys. And it's what makes it really cool. You know, it's fun for the pros and good for the beginners.
It was really cool. And so a couple things that I noticed when I was out there, we'll talk about the racing thing that I was going to mention, but it was really well versed in the manufacturers out there too. So like you go to a Lucas race and it's all Can-Ams in the turbo class and it's all Yamahas in the normally aspirated class. Here there was every single, like almost evenly, you know what I mean? Hunter's clearly a Can-Am guy, but there was so many different, like you could go down to the dealership and if they didn't have a Can-Am like Hunter has, you could go buy any other one and still race it. And it was super cool because there wasn't, like, everybody didn't have the same built car, right? It didn't have the same amount of horsepower. Like everybody had just, you know, bring out, like Dustin brought out a completely stock one with a stereo system in it, like, and he had fun. There was tons of kids on 170s that had just, you know, showroom based cars. There was all kinds of guys in the beginner and amateur class that had just barely a roll cage and stuff on it, and it looked like some of those guys almost had more fun than the big dogs. Like they were having a blast.
That's pretty good to see it. So
yeah, it's truly grassroots racing for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's, so what about the track surface? Because that was one thing that I was telling Casey too. Like it turned, like that last moto that you guys had was, before I do that. So Scott Champion and his dad are the ones that basically operate the track. I think it's super cool that they made the format just like motocross.
Isn't that, I didn't think I was going to like it at first, but
dude, it was awesome.
You know, yeah, it was. Like, you know, I'd never been that into short course because I enjoyed longer races. You know, we come in, when we got into UTVs, we got into cross country racing, and I enjoyed that 1 hour race because I felt like I got plenty of time out there driving. And, you know, it raced in short course. I never really felt like I got my fill of track time, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be the same for this, but I'll tell you what, by the end of the second moto, you're pretty whipped out there. So it's pretty cool, you know, and we come from motocross as well, so it was a format we were familiar with, and yeah, it's different. TexPlex is not following anybody's path, you know, they're making their own, and it's awesome.
Dude, it put a smile on my face to see all that stuff happening. I was telling Casey, like, at the end of the day, the track conditions were, I don't want to say completely different, but far from being the same as what they were at the beginning of the day. Because at the beginning of the day, the dirt in Texas is a lot more loamy than what we're used to on the West Coast. But at the end of the day, it was way more blue groove than even like, well, in some sections, than even like what Wild Horse Pass gets in a short course race. Like, it was like grippy pavement.
Asphalt.
Like I thought seeing some of them go through some of the, like, that last turn before you hit the finish line, I thought it was going to fold some of your guys' tires, man. It was so grippy.
Oh, you hear them squealing like it's pavement.
It's crazy. Even that's in the car you do?
Yeah. A little bit. You can definitely, when you really feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on the tires, especially, you know, and the crazy thing is you only saw about half the track. You know, they shortened it when we started getting into the summer races to try to help control the dust a little bit more.
Oh.
And when we were racing there in January, I mean, it was nearly a 5-minute lap time.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. And the whole track is just like that, you know. There was one downhill sweeper that, I mean, you're probably going close to 70 around it, and it's blue groove just like that. I mean, it's crazy that, like I said, there's nothing that you can compare it to. People have to just see it for themselves.
Yeah, 100%. So,
awesome.
Well, now that we're talking about this, is perfect time for me to do a little self-plug, but we're coming out with a video later this week that has some of that stuff in it, some of the corners and things that he's talking about. So check that out on our Instagram page when we release it later this week. Man, it's really, really cool to see where you're at now and all of the fun that you had this weekend. But let's Tarantino it a little bit, and we'll go backwards into how you got into it. Where did you grew up in Texas and you got into motorsports with your family, or how did it all work?
Yeah, we actually grew up right here on the same farm I live on now. We're on a ranch out here in Texas. We're about 30 minutes east of Dallas. And when I was 6, my dad got my brother and I both dirt bikes for Christmas. And I was, 3 feet tall, and he got me an XR80.
You're going to grow into this one, son.
Yep.
He got you size 12 shoes when you were a size 5.
Love it.
Yes, I could barely reach the pegs, and damn sure couldn't touch the ground. So, but he'd bring us out. We lived in the city at the time, and he'd bring us out to the ranch out here, and he'd turn me loose in the yard, and I'd pretty much ride that thing till it ran out of gas because I couldn't stop or I'd fall over.
Yeah.
And
awesome. You obviously have your brother Cody Miller too, and he was riding with you at the same time.
Yeah, and he got a Suzuki 50, so of course he could stop whenever he wanted, so he could touch the ground. But yeah, then, man, I must have been, I don't know, 10 or 11 or so, and my cousin, we used to have Thanksgiving out here on the farm every year, and my cousin's boyfriend at the time brought out a couple of four-wheelers. I think it was a Suzuki 230, and I rode that thing all day, and so decided we wanted some four-wheelers for Christmas, and my dad got us some Yamaha blasters, and same thing. We rode around here all the time. Well, we had a local motocross track there in Greenville that we used to go ride dirt bikes at, and got out there, and we were pretty good for just starting out, and we're riding and everything. Well, a track guy comes up to my dad who's standing in the tower watching. He's like, "How old are they?" And he's like, "Oh, they're 9 and 11 or something like that, however old we were, but we were too dang young." And he's like, "Well, y'all got to leave. You got to be 14 to ride here."
That sucks.
Said, "Well, shit." So left there, and it pissed my dad off, of course, and we were bummed out. So he came back, and we started building our own track here. And so we'd spend this every day out there riding all day long, and
the necessities of the Miller dirt life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. We were in the local Yamaha dealership one day and found a flyer for the cross country series that was just starting, or an ATV series, and it was called the Texoma Quad Racing Association, and went to the first race they had in Lake Murray, and it was a cross country race. And
you guys were 14 by then, right? Both of you 14.
Yeah, not even close.
In quote, yeah, 14
close.
in quotes.
Yeah. And we got second and third in the amateur class, and
nice.
Then did a couple more of those, and eventually the guy that was putting it on, like I said, this is very small at the time. He built a small motocross track in his backyard at his house in Oklahoma and started having races out there. And so the series was slowly transitioning into a motocross series.
Oh, that's cool.
We were out there racing, and the police showed up and shut the place down.
Oh, bummer.
So, yeah.
That's like a high school party getting busted.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So my dad went up to the guy and was like, "Hey, I've got a small little track at our place in Texas, and y'all are welcome to come out there and race." And the cops are damn sure not going to show up there. So for the next 3 or 4 years, every single TQRA race was at our place.
Wow.
Until the series finally got big enough to start going to other tracks around here, and that would allow quads, and it just grew and grew and grew. By the time we raced it all the way up till 2013, actually.
That's rad.
When we were, we were both factory Can-Am riders by then, and we of course had raced the nationals in conjunction with that for years, but always stayed racing our local series as well.
That kind of reminds me of clearly we didn't have people come to the events and stuff. But like when you built your Supercross track, and we had all those different little tracks that we could ride on too.
Yep.
So it was kind of that same necessity, right? Like if we couldn't go ride somewhere else, because in Arizona they didn't really have places for us to go very much. Like all the tracks were either getting shut down or not open all the time.
Right.
Not like they are now, like where you can go and ride any day of the week.
Practice on a
So
track,
like they did
right.
kind of the same thing that you guys
Yep.
did. Hey, real quick, we got Quinn Wilson. I don't know if you know who he is, but he said the Millers killed it. The battles between them and Hart all season was the best racing I've ever seen. I don't disagree with that statement, and I only saw one race.
Yeah, and you didn't even see anything compared to the earlier in the season. I mean, it was intense. Kyle Hart is bad mofo, man.
Yeah,
and he's young too. I mean, obviously he's a pro light champion. I mean, he's a good driver. There's no doubt.
It was cool to see that, though, and I was able to pick apart some of the stuff that they did over, because I was just obviously armchair quarterbacking it out on the track, but you could see, you would have had a good time watching them, too, because the different lines that each driver would take, him and his brother were pretty similar, but Kyle's lines were a little bit different, and you could see where entrance speed and exit speed was, let's just say 50% different. But it ended up being almost the same by the time they got out of the corner.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to see. So I can only imagine what they went through all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. He's definitely got a lot different driving style than we do. And Cody typically drives quite a bit more aggressive than me. But what we found out at TexPlex is, at least for us, it seems like the harder you try, the slower you go,
Oh, yeah.
You can go and drive super aggressive, and you may throw down one or two fast laps, but then you make a mistake that you lost all that time that you gained, and it's cool because, like you said, we've got totally different driving style than Kyle, yet the lap times are so close that it makes for some really good racing.
Yeah, it's super cool. We forgot to answer Chris, but Chris Bender, hey, man, we'll talk about comms and setups that we can talk about radios and things like that, either in another episode or instant message us on social media, and we can talk about it. Well, that actually brings up a good point, though. Nobody used spotters.
We did. We had a guy kind of telling us what was going on.
Where were they standing?
The spotters can't see it. They can't see a ton of the track, not like at Lucas where you can see, 90% of it and they're telling you exactly where everybody around you is. It's more just kind of knowing if you're picking up time on that lap or losing time on that lap or in a spot they can see.
I feel like that would have a big advantage. Well, first of all, if you're starting in that type of racing, let's just say you're a 170 kid and you figure out where you can know where the distance is around you, and like you do in motocross, right? If a rider's behind you or to your left or whatever, you can peripherally or hear them, the sixth senses. If you start that at an early age, then you're going to grow into it. But knowing what you've been through and obviously racing and doing so much, it's probably a little easier for you to not have a spotter. For me, it would probably be pretty difficult to go into that because I'd never known a UTV without a spotter.
Yeah, no, I've never had one. I've always been racing cross country, like I said, and this is my first full season of true, we'll call it short course, but sub 2-minute lap time tracks.
Yeah,
and everything else we've always raced has been 10 to 15-minute laps, and of course you can't have a spotter there. So yeah, it's different for us, and I don't like a lot of people talking in my ears as well. The whole time I'm trying to concentrate, so I feel like it would almost bug me more than anything, but sometimes it is good to have a little extra information. This weekend was actually the first time I had anybody talking to me at all, and all I really wanted to know was position of other people around me. So.
Yeah, almost like a pit board on dirt bikes.
Exactly.
That's actually pretty cool. But, I've never thought about that, but that would be we just talked to Steve Westfall of Rockstar Husqvarna, and he was saying that the strategies that he implemented, whether they were the same or different, they were all in the benefit of winning, and they're doing the same thing, right?
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Definitely.
I think
Yes, no, absolutely.
I think that's super neat. So did your brother have a spotter too, or no?
He did. Yep. Yeah, he had one of our buddies, and I had another one. So
Right on. You probably couldn't hear all the way on the other end of the track because that's pretty far, though.
yeah. No, and not that they could see anything anyway. So
Well, so after you guys started getting good at riding around and having all those races at your guys' property, where'd you go from there? You guys started doing GNCC, or what was next?
Well, so we started racing the ATV Motocross Nationals. I think it was around '97. We went and watched at Loretta's for the first time, and we'd never seen anything like that. We just raced small local races, and I can't remember what year it was that we started racing the Nationals. You're supposed to, I probably shouldn't be telling everybody this, but you're supposed to be 16 to race, and of course we weren't when we started.
Oh, sure you were.
But yeah, in the C class, and worked our way up. But when I turned 16, previous to that, racing locally, I'd had a couple of pretty big injuries. In 2001, we were having a race out here at our place, and it was a TQRA race, and it was a 2-day event. And for some reason, I'm trying to remember, but I feel like the second day was going to get canceled because of the rain or something. And I was riding a buddy's bike that he had just built and wanted me to try out and see how I liked it. And one of our guys was on the tractor prepping the track, and I didn't know it. He didn't know I was riding. And we have a step-up jump on the track. Came over the top of it and just landed right in the bucket of the tractor.
Oh.
And there's a scar right there on my chin where my jaw hit the top of the bucket.
Oh,
so had it been that much lower, it had been lights out.
Ouch.
And so everything below the blade of the bucket got sawed off at the bottom and went underneath and hit the tractor. And then everything else just got stuck in the bucket of the tractor. And then I kind of hit it and bounced off, but broke my leg and crushed my jaw. Yeah, it was a bad deal, and got care flighted out of there. And I think I was in the hospital about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and that was the first of a string of pretty bad injuries that I had. Got healed up from that, and I think I just turned 16. I was 15 when that happened, and then in January I turned 16.
Too?
No, luckily they put a plate all the way around it, but no wires. So
Man of Steel now?
Bummer.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a couple pins in my leg that they pulled out later. They were external. But that healed up. It took a while, but that healed up. And then I was released to ride just right before the first motocross national that was in Macon, Georgia. And I raced the B class. And I went and I won the B class. It was the first time I'd legit raced the national at the proper age. And came back, did a local race, and it was a night race in Weatherford, and cased a triple, didn't crash or anything, just landed really hard and broke my tib and fib on the other leg. Actually, no, on the same leg, but in a different spot. Yeah, got 2 plates in my ankle, and or on both sides of my tibia, I guess. And shortly after I had that surgery, I got a staph infection in one of them.
Oh, so that's the worst too.
It was awful. They had to remove that, and I had the IV straight to the heart and everything, and had to, get the antibiotics in it every 4 hours, whole 9 yards. And so that was a pretty long recovery. It took most of that year. And so that was 2002. In 2003, I raced the A class and Pro Am class and had a good year. I think I got second overall in the A class and third in Pro Am. And then 2005, racing at Lake Whitney, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I was racing the Pro Am class again, and I was getting pretty close to ready to move up to Pro. And Lake Whitney was the second round, and crashed in the start and broke my leg again on the other side.
And that start, for anybody that hasn't been to Lake Whitney in Texas, it's pretty tapped. Like, you're wide open. It's pretty fast start.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man,
it's gnarly. It's gnarly.
Just thinking about it right here, I wonder how many injuries we could count all together.
I know.
On the 3 people.
Between the 3 of us?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah, no kidding.
100.
Got a rod in my tibia there. And so that took, again, the whole year to heal. And got pretty much as soon as it healed up, I had the rod taken out because the doctor scared the hell out of me, telling me that, if I broke it again with it in, that it could bend it and, cause all sorts of other issues. So decided to take it out towards the end of the season, and I wasn't riding anyway. So 2006, I'm back to racing again, and Cody moved up to pro that year, and I decided to stay in Pro-Am. And had a couple of years, 2006, 2007, 2008, was all good. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't. It wasn't. 2000 and, I guess it was 6. The next year, Cody moved up to pro, and at Gatorback, crashed and broke his femur in practice.
Oh.
And, that same race, I crashed in the start and got a pretty bad concussion. So we came home and regrouped, and Cody stayed, and I was 18 or 19, and it was the first race I would ever go to by myself. Me and a buddy, Chad Weenan, who's one of the top quad guys still, his brother, drove to Budds Creek from Texas and went up there, and in the first moto.
That's a haul too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a ways. And, at Budds Creek, they have that. It's kind of a single down into a hole right before the finish line. And I kind of had a brain fart and overjumped it and landed way down in the bottom of that hole and almost like cased the face of the finish line there, and landed just so hard that it snapped my femur.
Oh, dude.
2 weeks after Cody did his.
Oh, no.
So.
Did you call him and he's
rough.
like, ha ha?
Yeah, it probably went something like that.
He's like, here, you can use my crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got care flighted to DC and had to stay there. There was some other complications where I had to have a fasciotomy and some blood transfusions and all kinds of stuff. So I had quite a few big injuries, and 2008, I moved up to pro. I went through 07 pretty good. And, it's one of those things where younger, I was always faster than Cody, but then, I had all these injuries in a row and he surpassed me. Not by a lot. On a good day, I could still get him every once in a while, but, he would always be just that little bit faster than me.
Yeah.
And 2008, he signed with Factory Can-Am to ride the DS450. And I was still on a Yamaha, and then ended up finishing the year on a Honda that year. But, I struggled all year, and, it's when factory support was really big for ATVs. It was first kind of maybe second year that, every manufacturer had a quad out there that they were producing, a factory team and, everything. And so it was stacked, and I was just maybe on my second healthy year, really. And so, I made, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 out of the mains out of the whole season. And just, it was kind of a tough year for me. I was trying, but you know how it is when you just feel like you are struggling. You're not strong enough. You're not quite fast enough. And
most
no
people
matter
try
how good
to
a shape you're in.
when you make a positive out of it, you call it a building year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I could have called it a building year.
Well, let me ask you this question then, because clearly we've all been injured a few times, but the strength and the mentality that goes through a person, like when you have to fight through that, and even when you're having your building year in quotes, like what we just talked about, like what does that do to you as a person? Because those are the things that are really interesting to me personally. When I see people that never have to go through any of that adversity, it's like they're missing something, right? But you having to go through that, all of a sudden, like after this building year, are you like, shit, you know what? This is what I need to do. Like, I'm stronger than this. I'm better than this. Like, what's your mentality?
It's kind of weird. Whenever I was, getting hurt over and over and over, I never really even had the thought of quitting. I was just like, this sucks, but, I'll be back to riding here soon. I mean, I guess you can say it makes you stronger, but I never really thought of it as something that set me back until I look back on it now, you know?
Yeah.
I always thought like, well, I'll come back and I'll be just as fast as I was before. But obviously looking back on it now, I see how much it actually did affect me, you know?
Yeah,
So
because
I
your
guess
brother
that's
starts
just
going
part of
faster than
getting
you,
older.
and
Yeah.
it
It's
does.
just, you know, your perspective.
Ryan Klein just chimed in, said can't beat the Miller brothers. Well, you couldn't beat them this last weekend either. So, well, actually, Kyle did win a moto though, didn't he?
Oh, he smoked us in a moto.
That last moto, he was on fire.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, I knew, you know, I needed to be second in order to get the overall in the day because Kyle unfortunately had a problem in the first moto and was only fifth. So I knew I had him overall. And, you know, partly in the back of my mind, I didn't really want to dice it out with him and chance something happening that could potentially take that away from
so
me.
we're talking about mentalities here, what he thinks and stuff. He's being humble about it. The first couple laps, he had fire in his eyes. Yeah, because and then after he was like, okay, you know what? Like something set in because you could tell his mentality. He just drew it back a little bit. He didn't do what Tomac did. He drew it back a little bit and held on.
Well, Kyle was on fire though that second moto. I mean, and I'm sure you know they had done the math as well and knew that I would have to be worse than second or third to lose it, but the dude was ripping, you know. So I don't know that I could have passed him anyway. So
it'll be interesting to see what happens next year too, because I obviously doing all the media stuff. I talked to almost all of the pro drivers that were in the pits that at least I knew, and a lot of them are saying they're going to join you guys next year. So it'll be cool to have that many more drivers on the gate.
No, I'm pumped, and especially drivers from different manufacturers. You know,
yeah,
that's what's really grow the sport and grow TexPlex. Really, is competition. You know, if every car out there is a Can-Am, that's not good for us because Can-Am has no incentive to try to push further. But man, if it's a Polaris winning one weekend and a Can-Am winning the next and a Honda the next and a Yamaha the next, then that's good for the sport as a whole.
Oh, dude, I agree with that.
It's like any industry. You need competition. You really do.
Right.
I was a huge advocate for different manufacturers in the Lucas series all the time, but they never listened to me. I'm just a little guy, right? And it was always the same cars. And there was no real way to get sponsors for any of the drivers.
Right. Yeah, the rules that's what's kind of crazy about TexPlex is the rules. It's like the Wild West, you know. But I think that's also one of the things that is helping it to grow so fast. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of restrictions on things that you can do as far as performance. And so it enables guys to run aftermarket turbos. So all of a sudden the Yamahas and the Hondas are competitive, you know, whereas if you're not allowed to run an aftermarket turbo, well, that eliminates 2 or 3 manufacturers out of that class, no matter what. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that, you know, there's not 100 rules that people have to comply to get into the class.
Well, yeah, and it also gives the manufacturers the opportunity to test things to build a car that does have an OEM turbo from the factory as well. So they can have, like, if Honda wants to come out with a turbo, of course they're going to send out guys that are racing with those types of things, and then maybe, you know, 2 or 3 years down the road they could come out with a product that's OEM.
Right.
It is really, really cool. So after you had all your injuries and stuff, what was it, just building years, or did you just like say, all right, I'm going for it?
So in 2009, I set up a deal with Can-Am to race out west, actually. The main thing was the ITP Quad Cross Series, and then we did a couple works races, and then we did a couple of the score races as well, which I'd never done any desert, so that was some cool experiences. We had quite a few issues on the team, so we'll just call 2009 a building year as well. But it was a factory team, but it was one that was kind of on its way out. And mid-year things were just not going great with the bike. I was getting to ride a lot, and I felt really good, but things just weren't great with the team. And so I set up my own deal and put a proposal together that I gave to Can-Am to start my own team and come back to Texas and race the TQRA series and the Torn series, which was a cross-country series that was just getting going. And at the time, TQRA was getting 200 riders, and so it was a good series, yeah. And so, and coming back here and racing TQRA full-time with Can-Am support, they had just come out with it was called an XMX, and it was basically their race-ready version of the DS450. And kind of the whole premise of the deal was that I would ride a pretty close to stock bike and show that, you could ride basically an off-the-showroom quad and be competitive. I don't know how familiar you are with kind of the history of quad racing, but after '89, there was no production ATVs, and so they were all custom chassis you take a dirt bike engine and put it in there. And then when Yamaha released the YXZ and all the other manufacturers got into it, they would release, pretty base quads, and then you'd still have to put everything onto it.
Yeah.
Can-Am was really the first ones to try to put out race-ready ATVs. So
I think I remember seeing some of that stuff. Do you?
Not really.
No?
I remember all the custom Lone Star this and all that. I remember all that stuff, right? That was but I didn't.
And most of those companies have now moved into UTVs. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but now that you say that, I didn't really realize that you were piecing together a bike in that time frame.
The aftermarket is what kept that entire industry.
That's
alive
true,
for so
because
many years.
there was so many dudes that were still running that 1989 Honda Fortrax.
Yeah, it was like the holy grail, it seemed like. For the guys racing them around here, they were like, oh, dude, I found a mint one in a garage. It was whatever the year was, the great one, 88, 89. I totally remember.
People pay top dollar for those things now.
Oh, for sure.
I wish I could get one, for sure. But so we raced locally for years, and Cody raced in New England. The factory support was starting to slowly dwindle out at the Nationals, and rides were getting tougher to come by. Cody had some podiums and stuff, had done really well, obviously. But he rode for a Can-Am team in New England and would fly up there and race, and I'd fly to California and race. And then,
that's pretty cool.
In 2010, I did the deal in Texas. And then in 2011, Cody was kind of sick of traveling as well. So we teamed up and kind of had our own team that was factory Can-Am supported.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
How was it like being away from each other doing the series and stuff? Was it different then? Because you guys are together a lot throughout your life.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird at first, when we were separate, because like I said, we've always raced each other. And really it was 2009, 2010 where we weren't racing together quite as much. We'd still race, TQRA on the off weekends together, but those were really the only 2 years in our entire careers where we weren't racing heads up every single time, So it was a little weird, but we've always been the biggest competitors as well.
Yeah, of course.
And that's kind of what's helped us to be as successful as we are as well.
Yeah, well, Casey and I actually talk about this all the time because he was like basically my older brother growing up, and we would always race against each other on the practice track and stuff like that. But actually, you could probably be a good judge of this. I always told him, I said, I learned so much from him, even though he didn't know he was teaching me, because I would just follow him around because I was usually on a smaller bike, and then, I'd come up and then he'd get to the next level and I'd have to try to catch up to him. So is that kind of the way it worked with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we were always on the same thing, basically, same bikes, almost identical, but
one guy always a little edge.
Yeah, I mean, I learned this weekend, when I was behind Kyle, I pick up on things. You have to, otherwise you're never going to keep moving forward.
Yep.
And the way UTV racing is right now, if you're not moving forward, you're going to get left behind. So, I'm always trying to learn, and even if you don't realize you are subconsciously, you're picking up on things. So
so I sat in that big bull turn that kind of went down the hill towards the I don't know, the end of the track on the north side at TexPlex, and I sat there and I watched you guys, and I think one lap, I don't remember what it was, but anyways, your guys's, you had seen a line and all of a sudden you changed it. I don't know if you were following your brother or Kyle or somebody, but you saw what they did and then you changed it for the next couple laps when you were going through there. It was pretty cool to see you catch on it so quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you're behind somebody and they pull you out of something, you better switch it up, or they're going to do it every lap.
Yep.
Yeah, well, what I kind of more meant was, like, he already talked about they were fighting for 10th, right? It was such a minuscule thing, but he found it, like, he's seen it, and he figured it out.
That's cool.
So and that's where I'm talking about, like, with your brother and stuff, like, because you know, you always want to go as fast as the faster guy, right? But there's really minute details that you can kind of figure out. And since you always have somebody to ride with, like I did when I was growing up, you learn a lot more than you really know.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, that's always been our biggest advantage is, doing it together. Riding with somebody, by yourself, you have nothing to judge it off of. You're just going through this turn and it felt good, but if somebody else is doing it a little differently, the chances of two people doing something the exact same way but not seeing the other person do it are pretty small. So, if Cody does something and he figures out a better way to do it and I see him do it and I was like, well, it was better than my way, then of course I'm going to change it up.
I wonder if that's what has been some of the evolution with motocross now, because like Alden Baker used to only train one guy, right? Right. So Ryan Villapoto's over there, Ryan Dungy's over there, Ricky Carmichael's over there. They're all burning laps by themselves, and now he trains a select group of guys. I wonder if that elevates it just that much more.
I think it does. It has to be the right people, though, obviously.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dang, that's actually a really good point. I want to start thinking about that a little bit more. So you guys started doing pretty good, doing all those races then when Cody came back to race with you.
Yeah, and so 2012, we were trying to renew our contract with Can-Am, and the race manager at the time was like, my budget for ATVs is really starting to go down, but we have a little budget for side-by-sides, and at the time, what they had was the Commander, and that was their first attempt at a side-by-side at all, actually. And if you remember those things, they weren't.
Had you ever driven any side-by-side at that point?
No, matter of fact, I had seen guys racing rhinos and stuff, and I had zero interest in it.
Yeah, I think all of us said that same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you see the things, they go out there and they look slow, and then they're getting towed off the track.
Yeah. More interested in taking them out on the trails and drinking some beers. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. But, what are you going to do when they say, well, you can't have money for this, but you can have money for this? So,
sign me up.
But the problem was we didn't have anywhere to race them. So we went to the Torn Series and went with the promoter and said, hey, look, Can-Am's got some interest in these things, and they seem to be doing well in other series. Do you have any interest in creating a class for them? And the series promoter was an old dirt track racer as well, and so he thought it was a pretty cool idea and was like, yeah, I guess so. We'll see how it goes.
Nice.
And I think, yeah, they had two classes, a stock and a modified class, and that was it. And the first year, I think the first race, maybe we had 10 or 15 of them, and maybe by the end of the year, we had about 30 or 40.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
pretty good growth.
Yeah, it was cool. And people got really into it. So we raced only at Torn for pretty much, I guess it was 2012, 13, 14, and 15.
Dang, that's cool.
But we had some really good competition here. I mean, there was a lot of fast guys for sure. Sean Hess, who you saw out there this weekend, Cross Kirchmeier, tons of guys locally that are fast and can go to any national event and do well.
Dude, making me feel like such an amateur, though, because I didn't start racing side-by-sides till 2014, I think.
Yeah, you're only a couple years behind us, so no biggie.
That was,
but
it's really cool to hear that you guys were on the forefront of it, because knowing what you guys are doing now and still being in the same, I guess just the forefront is the only word that I can use. Like, it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when something's going like this and you started at the bottom of it, but you're always progressing with it. I guess you stay at the forefront of it.
Yeah, but dude, kudos to you for doing that, because I didn't know that you started like that. I kind of thought you just jumped into GNCC, so this is all new to me.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's what's cool was like I said, we had so much competition at Torn, and we felt like we were going as fast as anybody, in those things, but didn't really know. In 2013, we tried a GNCC just to see how we did. And I think I made half a lap, and then my car broke, and I think Cody got 10th. But the setup that we ran in Texas did not work at GNCC. The tracks out here are more dry and hard pack, and so the tires we would run here, they were run flats actually, because flats were a pretty big issue, and it was before we even really knew about tire balls. And then you go to GNCC where it's more muddy and slick, and obviously a 12-ply tire is not going to do worth crap out there.
Have you seen the difference? Do you know the difference what he's talking about, Case?
I do, but only just in the car, full-size car genre, I should say. That's
well, you've
super
seen
heavy.
some of the GNCC stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
like 2-track through the trees and stuff.
Yeah, right. You destroy a tire
and
real quick, right?
It's tight, and you've got no room for error there. So if you're skating around on a tire that doesn't have any traction, then you can't go very fast, or you're going to be in a tree.
Right.
But so I think Cody got 10th, and it was at the Penton that year. And then we didn't do another GNCC until 2016, when we decided we wanted to, try to move on from Torn and at least for our full-time deal with Can-Am, and move into a national series. So we started running GNCC and went to the first one in Florida, and I broke. I had a pretty rough year that year. I think I broke the first 3 rounds actually, but Cody won. So
nice.
We were in shock actually. And then he won 3 out of the 6 rounds that year, and Kyle Chaney won the other 3, and Cody ended up winning the GNCC championship that year.
Dude, how amped was he?
Yeah, oh, dude, big time pumped. And then to top it off, at the last race that year at Ironman, I was racing the XC2 class, which would be like the equivalent of the stock class, where XC1 was kind of the mod class.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
But XC1 was considered the premier class, obviously. So the last race, I moved up to XC1 and started on the 4th row, and then finished second overall, and Cody won that race.
Yeah.
So, we capped off that year with a 1-2 finish at that race, so that was good. And the following year, going back to Ironman, it came down to Cody and I, 1-2 in points for the XC1 title, and it was whoever beat the other one was going to win the championship. And
dang, so you were already into these knockdown, drag-out fights before this past weekend.
Yeah, it's been going on a while. And so, we were racing hard, and we ended up colliding at the top of a hill, and I broke a front axle and got stuck in the mud right shortly after that without 4-wheel drive, and Cody went on and won the race and won his second championship at GNCC. So,
dude, how is it back at the trailer then?
Yeah, it was all right. Like I said, we're used to it, and
brotherly
love. Been a little faster than me for a while, so I was used to it as well. But no, it was cool. I mean, obviously, when you're battling for a championship with somebody, sometimes you get a rivalry going. But when it's your brother, it makes it all the better, because we can tell each other F off, but then you're best friends 5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to get over it, because you see each other every day. But so then 2018, it was the year I ended up winning the GNCC title. Cody had a little bit of a rough year that year. I think he ended up 5th in points. And shortly after that's when GNCC said no more side-by-sides, which sucked big time.
So when I was looking at these different series and stuff, I obviously being on the West Coast, I wanted to do Lucas, but the growth of the side-by-side series now, even in 2018, I had told Yamaha that I wanted to go do something else other than Lucas. So I was already looking at the TexPlex stuff and different series. So I think it's cool that they've kind of been on looking for different racing series the whole time, because you never know what's going to happen. And GNCC tanks, and all of a sudden they have to figure something else out.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
Yeah, you get the rug pulled out from you, and you got to find something else quick. But
Right.
our thing is we're always trying to progress. Like we won the GNCC title 3 years in a row. The only 3 years we were there, So we look at that as a major milestone for sure. And if GNCC still had UTVs, I'd still be there for sure, 100%. I mean, I loved it. I feel like it was the most challenging form of racing that I've done because not only are you trying to beat everybody else, but the courses are so hard to go through at speed, they're really, really gnarly. So,
dude, some of the videos that I've seen that you guys have posted going through the woods and stuff, like at speed, like you just said, dude, it scares the crap out of me. I'm like, dude, there's a tree right there.
Hard enough on a bike or a quad, and you're doing it in a freaking.
So just think about like when we would go to different. Well, you do it a little bit nowadays too. Is like you go mountain biking in the pine trees and stuff. It's way different.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
Imagine driving a 4-wheel vehicle at speed through
Yeah,
it.
totally with horsepower.
Yeah, you can't see the tires.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're sitting on the left side of it.
Right.
It's crazy.
Good point.
It's super cool. Like I always had a lot of respect for you guys because it's a completely different style of driving and it's a completely different skill set. But you can take that and mold it into something new.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that kind of brings us to this year. But when they said no more, we with GNCC, we always thought Works was cool and wanted to give it a shot, but obviously it was on the other side of the country from where we were racing. So we went to Can-Am and said, let's give this series a shot. And they hadn't invested in Works in a couple of years, so they were pretty excited by the idea. And we didn't, really know what we were getting into. I mean, we had a pretty good idea on setup stuff because, even though it's more desert terrain, it's still the same kind of course, they're just a little faster. So we weren't that far off, and George White with Doubly Racing, our suspension guy, came with us to all the races because we figured we were going to need to make some changes.
Yeah.
And we had a badass year last year. I mean, it came down to the last race between Cody and I for the championship again, and at Prim we ended up tying for points for the championship, and he ended up getting it because he had one more win on the season than I did. But it was still pretty cool because, I mean, I don't even know if you could do that if you tried to, with as stiff as competition is out there. And
we were just talking about the brotherly love. At this point, they're probably just like, fuck it, I'm not even going to yell at him. Just make him buy dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
With the Works series, I've never actually done a Works race. So I always had I wanted to go to the race in Taft because that huge monkey step up that they got, that when you hit wide open, how is that thing to hit?
Oh, it's sweet. Yeah, it's like,
because you got to hit that full wood, right?
Man, the cars are so fast now. I think you'd launch to the moon if you did that. But I think, back in the day before turbos, probably like the X3s, you're almost dragging the brakes up the face.
Oh, I got it.
But I mean, you're still hitting it at probably 80 miles an hour.
So Casey, it's kind of like Morocco's Leap at Redbud for dirt bikes, but it's for side by sides in Taft, California.
That's cool.
It's a huge jump.
Honestly, like that jump is big and cool, but there's way gnarlier jumps on that track too.
Yeah, it just looks neat. Like it just looks like a sender,
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And then you go back into the hills. I mean, that place is neat. I mean, this year it was pretty damn dusty, but it was still really cool.
So you guys did the Work series for just 1 year or 2 years or what?
Well, we're in the middle of our second year right now. They're on summer break. So we're not doing great in points this year. I think we're sitting 7th and 8th.
Summer, aka C19 break.
Yeah,
rebuild,
exactly.
A building year.
A building year.
It's a Works rebuilding year.
Yeah,
for
there
sure.
you go.
But of course, we started this year with KOH, and again, we're always trying to progress and do something new.
Yeah, how did that all come about? I wanted to understand how that came about. Like, so you guys aren't rock racers, so to speak, and all of a sudden you're like, you talk to Can-Am and you're like, fuck it, we'll just go out there and we'll try King of the Hammers.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, Can-Am
that's
was
a pretty gnarly
split.
thing to decide to just want to do.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're trying to progress every year, and that was the next thing on the list. You know, Can-Am was the title sponsor of KOH, and they had never won it, and so they had a big desire to win it, obviously. So when we said we wanted to do it, they were obviously open to it. And man, we made two trips out there to pre-run, and first day I was such a goon, it was crazy. I think I got stuck on every single trail we went on and melted a set of tires, and I sucked, to be honest with you. And by the end of the second day, like, I was better, but I wasn't great at it still. Yeah. Yeah. Damn sure don't have anything around here to practice on like that. You know?
At all.
Most of the guys that race that race live out close to there, or they race Ultra 4 or something. You know, they have experience with it, or they're Jeep guys that get into it. So it was new for me. Cody was pretty good at it right off the bat, but I was terrible. So by the second trip, I was better. I still wouldn't say I was good, but I was a lot better. And
do you take advice from outside people too? Like, are you getting fed information from other people to be able to excel better when you're not in the car?
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, both trips out there, we were with the first trip out there, actually, we were with nearly the whole Can-Am team that was racing it. Second trip, we were with Phil Blurton and Bo Judge, and they've had quite a bit of experience, so they helped me with some pointers and everything else, and Cody as well. And by the end of that trip, I was feeling pretty good, you know. But mainly when we got out there the week before to start pre-running at the actual race time, my co-pilot for the race was Chad Hughes, and he's had a ton of experience out there.
Oh, cool.
So that was the biggest thing. Like, you know, I'd get into these rock trails and just my right eye would go left, my left eye would go right, and have no idea where to go. And, you know, mainly the obstacles, like the rock gardens, I was fine because that was almost like GNCC, you know, except instead of a tree, it's a rock. So I was good at going through those quick and smooth without bashing the car too hard. But the obstacles is where I was having trouble. And, man, I think after 2 days with Chad, like, I could go through the stuff with my eyes closed. I mean,
dude, that's
it
cool.
was nothing.
So all the experience came into
For sure.
came to play, and then he just learned from somebody else's expertise.
Yep, and that different set of eyes.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you had to go into a situation like that?
That's where you need exactly what he did.
So
Yeah, no doubt.
well, maybe you can give us a little bit more insight. I know you're describing it, but you guys did a lot more than was expected as far as the outside public was concerned.
Say that again. You cut out for a second.
I said you guys did and succeeded a lot more than was expected from the outside public. Like, what we saw you guys do was pretty phenomenal.
Oh, dude, like, we didn't even have any expectations. We were hoping for, you know, maybe a top 10 we'd have been pumped, you know?
Yeah.
And so then, and the whole week was a shit show, man. Like, our suspension when we first got there was so far off that it wasn't even funny. We had been pre-running on pretty much stock cars, and we got out there and we just had like our work set up thinking that, it's not going to be that bad. And where we screwed up was when we were out there pre-running, we didn't really pre-run the desert because we just kind of figured it was going to be the desert and we could go through it and it wouldn't be any big deal. But we're just trying to learn, you know, some of the rock trails. But when we actually went out there and put on our race shocks, I mean, you probably couldn't go 5 miles and you'd have been pissing blood, you know?
Yeah.
So we spent the whole week with George, who had come out to help us from EE, and then Doug Roll from Elka. And we spent the whole week suspension testing, basically. And I mean, when I say it was a lot of work, like, I can't even describe it to you. I mean, it was, as soon as the sun comes up, we were out there doing our first test run, and then all day shocks were on the car and off the car and on the car and off the car over and over until we finally had it. You know, if we've been running the 72-inch car, it wouldn't have been a big deal. You know, they have baselines for desert setups that would have worked good, but we were running the 64-inch wide car, and nobody had any kind of data on what to do with that little travel, and
these
still
are the
having
stories
the
that I
thing.
enjoy hearing
Yeah,
so
for
much,
sure.
man. Because like they make it look easy on social media, right? Oh, they
Right.
win. Good job.
Yay, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. That was nothing to it. But
This is exactly
You
what
know,
you were
it's-
talking about last week with Wayne Matlock, though, the 2 a.m. wrench sessions or the 5 a.m. wake-up calls to go testing and stuff.
Yep,
It's
with-
exactly the hard work that he's
with
doing.
no sleep, and you just do it.
yeah, I mean, no sleep. It was no sleep and barely eating, and yeah, I don't know if you've been out there during that race, but the weather is as big a factor as anything, and that goes back to our inexperience. We were working under easy ups where everybody else had these enclosed tents, and apparently there's a good reason for that, because when the wind starts whipping through there at 50 miles an hour, you can't see because it's so dusty, but you still have to sit out there and work. It was completely miserable.
Yep. And
when
you're working on shocks, you want things clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, luckily, for working on the shocks, Doug had his full trailer out there and everything, so that's good. But just everything else, the race cars were brand new. We had just finished them, loaded in the trailer, and went out there. So there were still things to do to those, and we were suspension testing on our pre-runners because we didn't want to beat on the race cars, of course. Well, the pre-runners were pretty much stock and probably weighed 1,700 pounds, and then we got the shocks where we thought they were really good, and we put them on the race car, which is about 2,000 pounds, and the shocks sucked again. So it was like we were starting over, And so, qualifying was on Saturday, and I think Friday afternoon when they bolted the shocks on and I went and ran it, and it was like they just found it, and
Thank
went
God.
and took the race car for about a 20-mile loop there, and I was just floored with how good it was. I'd never really driven any kind of desert setup before where you can hit whoops at 90 miles an hour and you don't even feel them. But, because we always set our stuff up to be really stiff for cornering and everything. But it's not the setup you want out there, obviously. So it was good, and then we went into qualifying on Saturday, and Cody and Kyle were both pretty early in the day, and Kyle set a pretty good lap, and then
You're
Cody
talking
set
about Kyle
a really
Chaney,
good lap.
right?
Yep, Kyle Chaney. Kyle's a good buddy of ours, and generally when we're at races and stuff, we put together and work together. Cody set the fastest qualifier. Well, I was later in the day when the track was quite a bit more beat up, and went out there, and I felt like I put down the worst lap of my entire life and still came out second somehow. I couldn't believe it.
Cool.
Awesome.
So
That's a testament to the setup, though.
Yeah.
Huge testament.
Yeah, no, it was for sure. And I was just nervous. It was a huge stage, tons of people there, and it was the first time I've been nervous for a UTV race in a long time, I think.
The first time you get out on stage to play a rock concert in front of 100,000 people.
That's it. It was almost like I froze up, But so that was good, and Power Hour came, and we made it all the way through Power Hour and stayed as the 1-2 qualifiers, and so we were taking off together, first and second on Sunday morning on the front row. We after qualifying went back and totally re-prepped the cars, all new driveline, everything, and so I think I worked till about 3 a.m. that night, and then got up at 5 to go staging.
See, nobody sees all this stuff,
Nope.
man. Like, it doesn't matter what manufacturer you are, what tires you use, the hard work, man. That's what really, really ends up doing all this stuff, man.
For
and
sure.
obviously having the team there, and clearly he's going to say the manufacturer and the tires and stuff, and anybody would, but it really, really boils down to the team and the hard work.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. And, the next day when we took off for the race, like, everything just went perfect. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better day. And when we crossed the finish line and, enough time had elapsed that, we were official winners. I mean, I really can't even describe what it felt like because, all I thought back to was like the 3 months of working past midnight every single night and getting up the next morning and doing everything, trying to get the cars built. And then the week prior to where you're just exhausted, but then it all pays off. And it's just like the biggest relief you've ever felt in your entire life, you know?
Exactly. Well, and then we know a little bit about what you guys have done, but you guys also raced in another race at KOH too, right? Not just the side-by-side race?
Yep. So
what was that? What was the
my race went perfect.
Yeah, so what was the decision-making process? Guide us through that and to give us a little backstory on it.
So back to the start of the UTV race, Cody and I took off 1-2. Well, about 5 miles in, Cody broke a rear shock bolt, which is a completely random thing that does not break. But it did. And, I mean, the only thing we can chalk it up to is, again, working at 3 a.m. and it got over-torqued and
stretched it.
It broke. Yeah. So he ended up, robbing a bolt out of the front sway bar and getting a shock bolt back in, but it took him about 20 minutes to get the thing going.
But he tried to finish instead of blowing it up?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Well, and he came all the way back up to 9th.
Nice.
In the UTV race. So, he still, pulled off a top 10 finish, even being down 30 minutes like that.
Awesome.
So,
adversity, man, that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, but I won, and he wasn't pumped that he got 9th. So,
nanny.
The next morning, the next morning, I flew home, and because typically I fly to the races and he drives out there. But I flew home, and Monday morning he texted me and said, I think I'm going to stay and run the 4,400 race. And, I guess they were having breakfast over at Casey Curry's that next day. And, somebody jokingly said, you should run the 4,400 race, and just see how you do.
In a UTV, though.
Yeah, in a UTV. And he didn't take it as a joke. So he went and started talking to Ultra 4, and they were, super pumped up on the idea. And
do you know the difference between those cars, Case?
Nope.
So 4,400 is like the big rock crawlers with the big 40-inch tires and the big, it's the big dog class.
Right.
It's like the 450 Supercross guys.
Right.
It's like a trophy truck that goes through the rocks.
Right. Okay. It's the iconic vehicles that everybody knows of when you talk about this.
Exactly.
This event.
And we'll use Casey Curry because he just mentioned him.
Right.
You've probably seen some of the Jeeps and different things that he sets up for those.
Badass looking.
Yeah. These things are 900 to 1,000 horsepower and 40-inch tires and tons of travel and go through the desert at 130 miles an hour.
Well, let's do a comparison then. So he just said 900 to 1,000 horsepower, 40-inch tires. They got they can walk over rocks.
Yep.
And so Cody decides to race a side-by-side, which is not near as independent of suspension.
Right.
200 horsepower.
Right.
And what were you guys running, 33-inch tires?
32s.
Yeah, 32s.
Yeah.
So,
it's that XR80 that he couldn't fit himself on
on
when he was a little kid
exactly.
against the Supercross 450.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got a 4,000 or 5,000 pound machine versus a 2,000 pound machine.
Right.
So
crazy.
3 times the horsepower and 2 or 3 times the weight. I mean, they're big trucks for sure.
So does anybody else do this then?
No, this is the first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think somebody's raced a UTV maybe one time, but they didn't make it very far into the course even. This was definitely the first time anybody finished it.
Well, nice. Yeah, and so even to set the stage a little bit more, this car that Cody decides to race has already been run in the UTV race.
Yeah, no kidding. So
he already beat it up, and he's taking it to this 4,400 race.
And he's got a new torque wrench, so he's good to go.
Yeah. So he replaced that, during that week, they replaced everything, the entire driveline except for the front diff. And so he goes out in qualifying, and the top 4,400s have still yet to really even beat his qualifying time in the UTV race. And it's the exact same course. So we thought he was going to go out in there and set fast qualifier in a UTV. But then his the track, and watching it on live stream, it looked like he was going 3 times faster than he was even in the UTV qualifying time.
Oh, but the track deteriorated.
Oh, the track was so beat. Yeah, that's why he looked so fast, because he was so all over the place.
Oh.
But, his time ended up being like 9 seconds slower than it was in the UTV qualifier. But he still qualified good. I mean, I think he was close to the top 20. And shoot, I don't remember, but I think there was over 100 4400s. And so
so that's already good. I remember when we were watching, I was just like, dumbfounded that he was actually pulling this off already.
Yeah, top 25%.
Yeah. It was nuts. And so took off for the race, and like we were glued to the computer all day, you know, because it was crazy.
Did you wish you had stayed?
Oh, hell yeah, for sure. But on the other hand, we were pretty damn worried, you know, because you watch plenty of videos of those things when they're hung up in the trail and the next one just drives over them. Well, they drive over the UTV, it's going to crush that thing.
Right.
So,
monster truck.
Yeah, totally.
No doubt. And so at the end of the first lap in the desert, he pulled into the main pit and he had blown up a front diff. He had to go down back door and everything in 2-wheel drive.
Oh, no.
And it took him about an hour to change the front diff. And the Maxxis guys actually did it for him, which was super cool.
Dang, that is cool.
Yeah. Those guys are pretty well rounded, man. They've got some serious mechanics and fabricators in that tent. They don't just change tires.
That is super cool.
Yeah, and so he got going again, and Chad Hughes was actually his co-pilot, the same guy that was my co-pilot for the race, for the UTV race. And they finished it, and when it was all said and done, they had come all the way back up to 15th overall in 4,400. So,
wow,
that's an insane feat, right?
Yeah, it is.
So he finished King of the Hammers twice in 1 year.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he placed
in the same car.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
And he placed good in both of the.
That's pretty insane. And then if you just put that thing next to those,
dude,
like it's.
Did you guys take any pictures of it next to a 4,400?
Yeah, there's a couple of them on the starting line. It's actually kind of scary looking.
Probably like, oh, look at that little guy.
He's cute.
But it was funny. Like there's a video of, you know, Chocolate Thunder and all these 4,400 trucks are stuck all over the place. And he's just like weaving in between them, up and around, and on his way out.
That's cool.
It was. I mean, if you give him that hour for the diff change back, I mean, he's knocking on the top 5 for sure.
That is just insane. Dude.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Do you guys have plans of doing KOH again this year?
Yeah, for sure. That's number 1 on the list. So we're actually about to start getting ready for it. I just got my, as soon as the race was over, my race car went up to Valcourt and they came in and put it on display in their headquarters and stuff for a while. And matter of fact, I just got it back today. So we're about to start tearing into them. We haven't really decided if we're going to use those cars as pre-runners and build new race cars, or if we're going to just kind of refresh those and use them again. We have a lot of changes that we want to make, but haven't decided if it's going to be better to start fresh or just, kind of modify those a little bit. But either way,
it's a lot of work no matter which way you go.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those things were a ton of work to build. And what's crazy is how stock they are, but how much work goes into them, you know?
Yeah.
We start with the stock chassis and S3 Power Sports. Gussets the hell out of them, and then we boat-sided the sides of them, so we cut about 6 inches out of each side and then just kind of angled it up to the door bars. But other than that, I mean, they're pretty close to stock. I mean, a lot of the performance stuff was all bolts-on. But they were certainly a lot of work to build.
Yeah,
so.
When you say, like, when you had to replace a driveline and do all that stuff, you guys are probably using OEM parts for that stuff.
We are, yeah. We ran completely OEM driveline, stock diff, stock axles, everything, really, which is crazy that the OEM stuff is that good these days. But
well, it's just like we talked before, how much progression the side-by-side industry has made, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today too, but we're kind of running low on time, so we'll have to wait for another time. But man, it's so cool to see that you guys did that. So like I said, 2020 has been a pretty good year for you guys.
Oh yeah. And I guess I did forget to mention at the end of 19, in the beginning of 19 last year when we were running works, that Cody also won UTV World Championship that year as well. So we've been on a pretty dang good run, you know, and TexPlex this weekend definitely tops that off. Enjoying it while it's lasting this good. We know it's not going to be every year. That's for sure.
Well, Casey can attest to this. Like he mentioned it, like I said in last week's show, like the work ethic that successful drivers or successful racers have is bar none. These are all the things that you don't see, right?
Right.
Like you said with Wayne last week, like same type of thing, right?
Yep, totally. It's all that behind the scenes. Yep, and learning from your mistakes and etc.
You can relate it to Adam Drake in the RC car world, and
I totally am. There's nobody that works as hard as he does.
Right, and
it's just like this, and then the success just.
Boy, if you're into RC cars, you should see the new track at TexPlex.
Oh yeah, nice.
I was telling him about it. I went and checked it out.
Yeah. I just got a new Techno e-buggy, and I get to drive it on there for the first time the other day. It was fun.
Nice. That's a great car.
Yeah. So Casey's friends with one of the Jeremy McGrath guys of RC car world. His name's Adam Drake. So.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. Yes, I've been into RC cars since I was a little kid.
Oh, there you go. We could have a whole different show on that stuff.
Y'all want to start round 2 here?
But yeah, man, it's super cool to see all this stuff. And I got to give you kudos, man. That hard work is definitely paying off, and it's been seen by so many different people around the industry. It's really, really cool to notice that you guys are putting in that much work, man.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not like you said earlier, just what you see on social media and the cool pictures. There's so much behind the scenes, but you got to do all that work to make it look cool on social media, I guess.
Yeah,
doing it for the gram.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you don't just luck into holding the big TexPlex checks.
Dude, that is super cool, man.
I thought you just showed up and drive. I thought that was all there was to it.
That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, you just hit the button and go. Yeah, right.
Side-by-side racing's easy. I can drive a car. I get to work so fast in the morning. Like,
perfect.
I can pass everybody on the highway.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, before we got a rapid-fire Q&A, some quick questions that we're going to ask you, but before we start doing that, congratulations on all the success that you and your brother have had. I definitely want to get your brother on the show, so I was going to shoot him a message tomorrow and see if he wants to come on later in September. So if you see him, let him know that I'm going to be reaching out to him. But
yeah, I'm terrible at these rapid fire questions, by the way.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. So if anybody wants to get a hold of him, you can look at our social media at The Dirt Life Show on Instagram, and we posted a few posts with his Instagram handle, but it's Hunter Miller 90 at Hunter Miller 90, just how you would spell it. And you can reach out to him anytime. I don't know if he'll answer because he's a busy guy. We're getting his race program all set up, but he's got some cool content up there if you guys want to check it out. All right, Case. You ready for the rapid fire Q&A?
I am ready.
Who wants to go first? You want me to go first? Who went first last week? Do you know?
I don't.
How long I got here to find rapid fire?
Quick as you can.
Yeah, quick as you can. So let's say 10 seconds.
Ah, that's not that rapid.
Okay, 3 seconds.
Yeah, as quick as you can. Gun to your head.
Yeah, gun to your head. All right, iRacing or real racing?
iRace. Oh, real racing.
Yeah.
Nice. If you could hang out with one person for a day, who would it be?
Any person. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be actor, actress. It could be a sports person.
Donald Trump.
It could even be somebody who's no longer with us, or it could be a professional racer, anybody.
Oh, shit.
You only get a day, too, so it might be somebody that wants to teach you something or you want to learn from.
Boy, man, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Skip? Okay. Let's go back to that one then. Barsha or Webb?
Man, that's a hard one too. Barsha's more entertaining, but I sure like Webb ethics. So let's go. And not that Barsha doesn't work hard too. Let's go Webb.
So Casey would have been. He's like
so
the
smart.
Super racecraft guy. So
he's so smart at his.
No, that's it. Like watching Webb.
You can't even explain it. I know. I'm with you.
Started to, and I don't think my freaking DVR recorded the 450s at all.
Oh, I'll give you my
Yeah.
NBC Sports Gold password so you can watch the rest of them. So tired when I flew home. I was like watching the races that day, and I was like, oh, I dozed off. I didn't see half of Barsha's like crazy moto.
He was on it. All right, favorite food.
I'm in Texas. It should be Mexican food, actually, because I eat that probably 5 nights a week. So,
Dude, so I posted some videos. Like I went to a place called.
never heard of that. So,
Well, I just went there because we went to try to find a grassy field for the rental car, and I passed by it. I'm like, oh fuck, I'll try to stop by there when I get done with the races. So I went after the races, and I mean, I wasn't like kill yourself disappointed, but I was pretty disappointed because it wasn't anywhere close to the Southwest. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
I don't think I've had Little Smokies.
Dude, seriously?
Yeah.
Tomorrow. He's going to be
Yeah.
tomorrow years old when he
Yeah.
tries it for the first time.
Guess we're going to go with pizza rolls.
All right.
Favorite soda.
Coke.
Nice.
Dang, dude, going Coke. Every time I hear
a
somebody
quick
say
one, too.
Coke, I think Lance Armstrong.
It was a quick one too.
Always.
No. You think what?
Lance Armstrong, because he's like the Coke. He always had a Coke after every single stage of the Tour de France.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, that's how they re-put the sugars back in their
Yeah,
body.
actually,
Coke.
a lot of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm. Well, look at my Strava. I've been pretty lazy lately, but I used to ride a lot. Actually went was Scott champion mountain biking the other day for the first time in like 9 months, and thought I was going to have a heart attack. So turns out I need to ride a little more.
Either that or
Last year
just-
I was riding a lot. I was riding my gravel bike every single day. Just about.
Nice.
So,
Oh, right on.
Rode my gravel bike today in
Yeah.
113 degrees.
Ugh,
It wasn't a
jeez.
good choice.
Was that this morning? Or?
On the way
I did a
home.
race. I did a race last year called Midnight Massacre that they have here in Texas, and it's 70 miles, and it starts right at maybe 30 minutes before dark. And
Oh, sweet.
like I said, it was 70
night.
miles. It was
Some other places, some other races that are pretty cool. All right, we could talk about that. That's another subject. We could talk RC cars, mountain bikes, all this stuff. Uggs.
Yeah.
Uggs.
I got too many hobbies. So I'm skip.
I'm with you, man. Neither.
Yeah, I think I'll go barefooted.
Most memorable race.
Oh, hammers for
I
sure.
knew it. How do you not?
Even though that one was recent, I don't think I can top that one anytime
Yeah,
soon.
are there any other times where you're like, hey, throwing cards at the hat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Exactly.
I love it.
And then as much preparation as you try to do, like they were doing it till the last second. You know
That's
what I mean?
what makes
Like
it so awesome.
exactly.
That's honestly what made that race like, one of the best memories probably I'll ever have is how I know exactly how much went into it to make
Right.
it happen.
It's that whole teamwork
like-
makes the dream work thing too, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was all of our buddies over helping us every single night. I mean,
It's super
it
cool
was
though.
it was crazy.
When you
Yeah.
like you said, when you sat on the top of the podium, you were just like, yes. Dang, you're going vanilla.
Easy.
So he's going vanilla, he's going Coke, and he's
Yeah.
going.
Simple, because you have your setup. He already knows his setup.
Yep.
So it keeps it simple.
It always. I haven't skied since I was maybe 10. I was terrible. So
What do you pick? You're going next when you're going next time though.
ski because I don't think I'm coordinated enough to snowboard. So
All right, dogs or cats? Yeah.
it's YouTube,
What does the wife think? Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix, for sure. She's got a ton of her own shows.
Ooh, this one's gonna be a good one.
I know.
Go for it.
Since he's a pro. Burrito or taco?
Taco.
Yes.
Yes, we just became best friends.
John Stamos.
Yeah. So just weekend tacos, like I
Right.
said. I bring them back to the hotel, and I watched Step Brothers twice.
Oh, no.
While I was trying to do all the content and stuff like that. So, all right, so Supercross or motocross? I don't know, man. Knowing the success that you've had in the side by side, I would almost think that you're going to pick motocross, but maybe not.
Supercross because shorter attention span, I guess. I like the show of Supercross, but I like the gnarliness of motocross, but that being said, Supercross is about the gnarliest thing on earth. You know,
It pretty much
Like-
is. It's crazy.
those guys have no room for error
Yep.
at all, and the intensity that they're racing at these days with
It's
those
insane.
bikes with that much power. I mean,
It's insane.
it's gnarly, and like you don't really notice how beat up the track is on TV, but
Yeah, no justice
when you start
whatsoever.
looking at it close,
Yep.
it's crazy.
Yep.
Casey can
Yeah.
attest to that. Casey was actually a really good Supercross rider.
That was a
Yeah,
long-
it's like on
long time
motocross,
ago.
if you're just exhausted, you can cruise around that track, but a Supercross track,
He was better at Supercross, so it was pretty cool.
yeah.
All right.
What other form of racing would you like to try? Sky's the limit.
Oh shoot, I'd like to try some on-road car racing at some point. I think that we got into
So
side by
did we.
sides. I started paying
Yeah.
a little more attention to it, and I realized how much goes into it,
Yes.
and
Agreed.
it's insane.
Yep.
You know,
It really is.
It's
And then
insane.
it gives you a whole new respect for setup, right?
Right, and then
no doubt. I mean, like look at like NASCAR. You would think that they're just driving in circles, and anybody could do that, but
right.
you can't.
No, and we think the tire game in off road is hard.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
insanity.
Yeah,
It's
big
next
time.
level.
Like I got into watching Formula One, and the racing there is not great, but the technology is,
Yep.
space age.
Agreed.
All right, so for this last question, I'm kind of like
Yeah, I'm teetering
teeter-tottering
as
because
well.
he's
I don't-
full steak and potatoes guy, right?
Yep,
He's got
yep.
Coke, but he's mentioned tacos
5 days a
couple
week.
times. Yeah.
5 days a week, he said. So yeah, it could go either way.
All right, this is the most important question you'll ever have to answer in your whole life: chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Is that even a question?
Okay, good. Thank God. I was scared for a second there because of the whole steak and everything.
I still want to hear it.
Yeah, guacamole for
Oh, okay,
sure.
Good.
Sweet, man. Well, we really appreciate you. I can't actually. You know what? We should have asked you all these questions on your brother's behalf, and then had him on the show and see if you got them right for
Yeah.
him.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
See how good
No
you know your
kidding.
brother, right?
He would. Well, a lot of those questions he wouldn't have been able to answer. He wouldn't know who Barshaw or Webb are. So
Oh, you don't think he will?
I'd probably he'd know who Barshaw is. I don't know about Webb. He's not quite as into motocross and supercross as I am.
What kind of
But,
stuff is he? What kind of stuff is he into? Basketball?
No, fishing
Oh, right
on the
on.
lake, stuff like that. Yeah.
So he'd know who Malcolm
No,
Stewart
he
is.
likes to get out and do stuff. He can't really sit in front of the TV for an hour and watch stuff. So
Right on. It'll be cool to get him on the show and talk to him. Well, dude, it's
Yeah.
super late where you are. We really appreciate you staying up so late with us, and know you got a busy day and a busy week, dude. Spending all that money that you just won.
it's all spent. Don't worry.
Of course it is.
Every single racer's budget. Yes, I won all this money that I already spent.
It is.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is America.
exactly.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, thank you very much for joining us, dude. We really appreciate it. And thank you for being so awesome and getting me out there to TexPlex, dude. That was a good kick in my butt to be able to get out there, and I'm glad that you got me out there.
Yeah, for sure. You need to bring a car next time.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I want to send some of those jumps, but honestly, one of the funnest things that I saw the whole weekend was that big bull turn going down the hill.
That's sweet.
It looks
It is.
so
It really
cool,
is.
man. It's like you think it's going to be easy, right? You just have to stick to the line, but it's not. There's a bunch of different lines that you could take. There were
I'll
so many
bet.
people jacking up that corner.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not like those bowl turns are smooth.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a couple people bottom out going in and out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right,
So,
bud. Well, thank you so
that's
much.
neat.
I really appreciate you coming
All
on
right,
the show.
guys. Yep. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
You
Thanks
too.
so much.
Take care.
We'll see you later,
Thanks.
bud.
Bye.
That's super cool to talk with him, man. To understand what the personality that these racers have and to be able to give them the opportunity, well, not give them the opportunity, they give us the opportunity to be able to share, but to have this platform that we can all share the understanding and the personality together is pretty freaking cool, man.
No doubt. For
Well,
sure.
I appreciate them coming on the show, or Hunter coming on the show, Steve Westfall coming on the show. I honestly, man, I still am like, I feel like I'm on a high from this past weekend, seeing these racers do all this stuff and being able to have him share his story right after he wins this 40 grand. Cool. Like, it couldn't have worked out any better.
I know, perfect.
He was going to be on the show before this, and then it was like just fell into place. So it was like the most perfect thing. So thank you very, very much to all of our audience that has joined us and who's going to listen on iTunes. And we've been getting some really, really good numbers in iTunes and all that stuff too. So we really appreciate you guys just joining us and having some fun with us. It's super, super cool. Next week's show, we got, I think we might have mentioned it before, but we got Dustin Nelson, one of the guys that I've raced against during my Lucas short course career, one of the guys that we grew up racing with dirt bikes. And so he's a professional motocross racer, quad racer, side-by-side racer, and now he kind of does a stunt thing. Do you remember a guy named Andy Harrington?
Mm-hmm.
So he does that for Andy Harrington's company.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so they do it together, and they do all kinds of different, I don't know if you want to call it stunt things where you're like jumping off a building kind of thing. They do stuff where they have quiet cars, like electric cars and stuff, and they follow during like crash scenes and different stuff like that.
Right, gotcha.
It's super, super cool. So
that is cool.
We'll get to talk to Dustin a little bit about that, and he still does some test riding for Yamaha. So
nice.
It'll be good to talk with Dustin. Like I said, we really appreciate all you guys. We really appreciate all of our sponsors, Shock Therapy. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at shocktherapist.com. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ruggedradios.com. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at solderweld.com. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com. And, man, you can save a whole bunch of money and support the guys that support us. We really, really appreciate all of their support. And like I said, most importantly, we really appreciate all of our audience. So thank you guys very much. We can hope you guys can join us and have some fun with Dustin Nelson next week. Please pay attention to all of our social media at the Dirt Life Show, and and look for some of the cool content that we're going to have from TexPlex and from Honda Off-Road Racing as well.
I can't wait for that one.
It's going to be really, really cool. So thank you, Case, for coming in the studio. We really appreciate it. You got anything else before we sign off?
Nope. Thanks again, everybody that chimed in, and we didn't quite get to everything again, which is, I guess, a good problem to have, but we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Quinn Wilson, for letting us know we had an awesome show tonight. We think we did too. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for living your dirt life with us. We love you. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.